Chapter 855. Nangong Mealy, let you taste my 5 poisons cult's unique love goo. Li Feiyu felt a touch of emotion as he accepted the gift. He still remembered the time during the Beast Tide when he had caught a glimpse of Steward He from afar. Back then, as a Foundation establishment cultivator, Steward He seemed unreachable to him. But now, Steward He was treating him with such courtesy. Li Feiyu knew in his heart that this was entirely because of the Azure Phoenix True Immortal. His current power might not necessarily match that of Steward He. The courteous attitude was entirely because they were in the city named Azure Phoenix Immortal City. He did not think much, bowed his hands and then headed to report at the Azure Phoenix Hall. Bihu Lake Mountain. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Sister Miaoga, please pay more attention to the family in the coming days. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron. Omicron, Zishao, remember to take good care of your body. I will come back immediately after the ceremony is over, Lu Changxing said to his wife Lu Miaoga and Ling Zixiao. Now, at Qingyun sect, Fairy Qingyi's core formation ceremony was still half a month away. Although his Bihu Lake Mountain was close to Qingyun sect, it would not be feasible to just time his travel on the dot. Thus, he and Lu Yuanzhong and others had arranged to go together. Don't worry, Changxing, the family is safe with me here, Lu Miaoga said softly, her face gentle and beautiful. These days, because Su Rian was focusing on her foundation establishment, she had not cultivated but spent most of her time making talismans. In her free time, she used Tai True water to nourish Ling Zixio's physical body. Although Ling Zixio's body had recovered, being pregnant still drained a lot of her vitality. Thus, using Tai True water to nourish her body was beneficial not only for her but also for the fetus inside her. This too could be considered winning from the womb. Okay, I'm leaving now. Lu Changxing gently hugged his wife and Dao companion, then rode the flying shuttle to Qingzhou Mountain. By this time, Bai Yunyang was already waiting at Qingzhou Mountain and courteously bowed when he saw Lu Changxing arrive. Then the three of them set off together for Qingyun sect. Families like the Wugong Ridge Zheng family, which had no foundation establishment cultivator seated at home, did not receive an invitation this time. However, such small families would usually send someone to Qingyun sect to leave a gift at the gate and then depart. After all, an immortal sect like Qingyun would not care about these small families, but those below them might. So this had also become a customary practice. Jinyang sect, the back cliff of Tianyuan Peak. Lu Qingshan, clad in a gold-white magical robe, sat motionless. Threads and wisps of golden sword chi emanated from his body, filling the air with a sharp aura that seemed capable of tearing the heavens and shifting the sun and moon. This mere sharp aura alone was enough to give others a sense of irresistible reverence, diminishing their own momentum by a third. Not far away, Yen Yuan, dressed in a luxurious red gown and appearing languid, sipped her drink and marveled at her disciple, who was undergoing a breakthrough. Ever since his parents visited, not only had his cultivation surged dramatically, but his progression in the sword Dao was also remarkably swift. It was as if he had clarity of the sword heart, mastering several sword techniques and entering the first realm of the sword Dao, sword chi like a rainbow. Now, just breaking through to the 9th level of energy refinement, he already exhibited such an unrivaled sharp aura. It was imaginable how astonishing his future growth would be. Boom! Lu Qingshan's spiritual power surged within him, sending a gust of wind that made his robes flutter and dust swirl around him. He opened his eyes, looked towards Tianyuan True Immortal not far away, rose and bowed his hands, Master. For him, breaking through to the 9th level of energy refinement was just a natural progression, nothing too surprising or joyful. Not bad, you've reached the 9th level of energy refinement so quickly. How is your cultivation of the true Yang 12 swords? Yen Yuan, holding a gourd of wine, took a sip and asked casually. As a nascent soul immortal, she could naturally see that such changes in her disciple were connected to his parents. Especially after tasting the wine gifted by Lu Changxing, she detected a hint of the flavor of the spiritual eye spring, knowing this was not a treasure an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator could produce. Please instruct me, Master. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan bowed, then produced a golden magical sword in his hand. Chiang. His lips slightly parted as he uttered 2 words. With his words, his magical sword thrummed, and a white gold sword chi emerged, breathing in and out unsteadily. As Lu Qingshan's eyebrows raised, he sliced through the air, shooting forth and piercing a giant rock in the distance. Chaoyang. Lu Qingshan's magical sword shone brilliantly, releasing an overwhelmingly dominant sword chi that seemed as if a golden sun was faintly visible, spreading dazzling light that made it hard for one to keep their eyes open. The golden sun transformed into over a dozen sharp sword chi bursts towards the trees ahead, causing them to burst into flames and turn into charred remains in an instant when pierced by the sword chi. Wuyang slash. Lu Qingshen's magical sword suddenly slashed forward in his hand. Sar the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In an instant, a sword wheel resembling a golden sun rolled forth, leaving a deep trench in the earth ahead. After 3 swords he did not continue. The true Yang 12 swords could only be used up to the first 3 swords in the Qi refinement realm. This true Yang 12 swords of yours. Tianyuan True Immortal watched the 3 moves Lu Qingshan executed, her brows slightly furrowed. Even though Lu Qingshan possessed a Gingjin body constitution and cultivated the great Gingjin sword art, the power was somewhat astonishing. Moreover, his sword technique made it seem as if he had a style of his own. Apart from the true Yang 12 swords, I have also looked into sword techniques such as the profound water sword technique, the green lotus sword art, and the slaying character art. Even though these sword techniques are different in my view, they ultimately converge to the same path, differing only in difficulty, hence the distinctions. So in the past few days I thought about adapting this sword technique to better suit me, making it more handy and natural to use, Lu Qingshan stated, standing tall with a light smile on his face. After obtaining the Seed of Law, not only had his sword Dao talent increased, but his appearance had also subtly changed. His originally handsome face with rosy lips and white teeth, now displayed more angular features with a heroic air, and his eyebrows were sharp like swords, making him a true epitome of robust and stellar features. More suited to oneself. Upon hearing this, Tianyuan True Immortal stunned and unable to speak. Although it said that techniques and magical powers must constantly be broken down and integrated with one's understanding and insights, such a statement coming from a Qi refinement cultivator was filled with discomfort. Especially since the true Yang 12 swords was considered top-tier sword technique. Have you encountered any problems with this sword technique? Tianyuan True Immortal's face, previously relaxed and casual, now showed some seriousness. The 4th move, Xingyang, requires foundation establishment and the digestion of mana to be executed, so I thought if that's the case, simplifying this move might make it executable even in the Qi refinement realm. Lu Qingshan shared his thoughts and queries. Besides cultivating the great Gingjin sword art, under Lu Changsheng's guidance, he had also contemplated the first 2 layers of the 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture. This mutual referencing deepened his understanding of sword techniques. However, after Lu Changxing finished teaching, he left, and many aspects were still not clear to Lu Qingshan. Your thinking is not wrong. Tianyuan True Immortal didn't accuse him of being overly ambitious but explained the principles involved. Additionally, she noted that if a high-level sword move was simplified, the effects and power might not necessarily be strong. It could be more powerful, but the excessive digestion might be detrimental in combat. She promptly demonstrated other similar techniques for him that could serve as trump cards or life-threatening moves. Thank you, Master. After having his questions answered one by one, Lu Qingshan greatly benefited and bowed respectfully. If there are no other questions, you may go now. In a few days I need to make a trip outside. By the time of the competition trial, taking the first place won't be a problem, will it? Tianyuan True Immortal asked. Originally, she thought that her disciple could only aim for among the top 10 and fight for the top 3. But now she believed he could contend for first place. Master, I will certainly not disappoint you. Lu Qingshen's eyes sparkled intensely. In his calm and serene words, there was a fullness of confidence. Even if Yan Yuan didn't mention it, he was determined to seize first place in this upcoming competition, to secure a foundation establishment elixir for his sister. Hee. Seeing her disciple so confident, Tianyuan True Immortal couldn't help but smile, returning to her usual lazy and casual demeanor before transforming into a rainbow light and disappearing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 856. Core Formation Grand Ceremony Twins Born. Qingyun Sect. Due to the core formation ceremony, the Qingyun Sect had been bustling with excitement recently, like a market in session. Countless cultivators rushed to Qingyun Sect to offer congratulations. Even many loose cultivators came near the Qingyun mountain range. At the foot of the mountain, they hoped to encounter some esteemed person who would take notice of them and thus grant them an opportunity. Citich novel, F.I.R. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After Lu Changxing, Lu Yuanzhong by Yun Yang, and others arrived at Qingyun Sect, They presented their gifts and were arranged to reside in the guest quarters, waiting for the ceremony to begin and to observe it. Cultivators like them at the foundation establishment stage were naturally given a unified reception by the Qingyun sect disciples. Only the Heavenly Sword sect, Wuxia sect, Spirit Taming sect, Huanin sect, and Azure Phoenix Immortal City, such influential forces at the nascent soul level, would have a steward from Qingyun sect to receive and make arrangements. However, this ceremony still allowed Lu Changxing to meet many family forces here. Among them, many family ancestors and stewards invited Lu Changxing to visit their homes whenever he was free, as the younger generations admired him. After all, in the entire Jiang country cultivation realm, the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family was not really significant, and many people hadn't even heard of them. But in the Qingyun region, among the foundation establishment family forces, the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family still had a certain reputation and importance. And those who recognized his name knew that this Lu ancestor was fond of beauties and loved having children. Because of this, people were willing to make his acquaintance through such means, looking to connect with a promising second-ranked talisman master and alchemist. What? Azure Phoenix Immortal venturing into the Myriad Beasts mountain range and returning severely injured? In an elegantly serene courtyard, Lu Changxing was having tea and chatting with several foundation establishment cultivators. One of the elders shared a piece of news, provoking surprise among the listeners. After all, this was about the Azure Phoenix Immortal, the master of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, Jiang Kingdom's #1 independent cultivator. Years ago, it had even been said that he single-handedly fought against 3 great demons and ultimately slew one of them. A remarkable feat. This matter is just a rumor, but the fact that Qinghuan Peak has sent people to prohibit such rumors only adds to the credibility of these rumors. This elder unconsciously lowered his voice. I had heard rumors long ago that Azure Phoenix Immortal was severely injured and had gone into closed-door cultivation, so this news might not necessarily be true. To see if this news is true or not, one only needs to watch the situation in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. If the public order there worsens, it would prove the rumor true. I recently visited Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and currently there is no evident change. If Azure Phoenix Immortal was really severely injured, there might be significant turmoil in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. The others nearby expressed their thoughts, their words quite sentimental. However, most people didn't pay much attention to this news. After all, Qingyun region was far from Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and only a very few family businesses reached there. So even if the leadership in Azure Phoenix Immortal City changed, it wouldn't greatly impact the family forces present here. After chatting for a while as it was getting late, everyone dispersed. At that moment, Lu Changxing sensed a dense surge of mana spontaneously flowing into his Qi Ocean core, transforming into droplets of liquid mana. Is it Qingshan? Lu Changxing immediately guessed that it was his son Lu Qingshan who had made a breakthrough to the 9th level of energy refinement. After all, aside from his son Lu Chuanjin who had overtaken others on the strength of his uncle Chu Change's help, his son Lu Qingshan was currently far ahead. Name, Lu Qingshan. Lifespan, 23 of 118, talent, 6th grade spiritual root, Gingjin body constitution, medium grade spirit body, cultivation level, 9th level energy refinement, talent, sword Dao compatibility, 84%, 23 years old and already at the 9th level of energy refinement, probably in another 3 to 5 years, hell break through to foundation establishment. Lu Changxing's face showed a hint of a smile, making a sound of approval. This kind of cultivation talent in his son, even if placed within the immortal sects, belonged to the top echelons. Also, his sword Dao talent has risen to 84%. Lu Changxing looked at the talent display, pride glowing in his eyes. Originally, his son's sword Dao talent was decent but just passable, barely considered genius. But now, this level of sword Dao talent was undeniably genius. And it had been only just over 2 years. As time passed, his son's sword Dao talent would continue to improve, making him an unmatched genius in the path of the sword Dao. Now that the child has broken through to the late stage of energy refinement, the enhancement to my cultivation level is also considerably more noticeable. I wonder how much improvement it could bring me if Chuanjin or Qingshan breaks through to foundation establishment. Lu Changxing looked at the liquid mana within his Qi Ocean core. When his children had just begun cultivation, it was like only a few streams of air entering into Elixir Lake, unable to even form mana. But now that the child had advanced to the late stage of energy refinement, they could finally form a few drops of liquid mana. He greatly anticipated his children's breakthrough to foundation establishment. After all, living a leisurely and relaxed life in cultivation was impossible through his own harsh cultivation. But if he wanted rapid improvement in his cultivation level, he could only rely on his children striving hard. 9 days later. Qingyun Sect. A huge plaza built from white jade. This place was filled with cultivators and Qingyun Sect Foundation establishment disciples who had come to offer congratulations. Only Foundation establishment cultivators were entitled to a seat. Even Qingyun Sect disciples, if they had not broken through to Foundation establishment, could only watch from afar and could not participate. The sound of a bell ringing. At that moment, bell chimes echoed. In the plaza's ethereal space, above several green jade platforms, figures clad in Qingyun robes appeared. They were both male and female, ranging from young to old, from every age group. But each one emitted an unfathomable, deep and towering aura. The core formation ceremony officially begins. In the center of the platform, a cultivator in a Qingyun robe, with an imposing face, spoke out loud. Immediately, strains of celestial music played, and a rainbow bridge emerged in the air, looking like a rainbow, colorful, splendid, and utterly magnificent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 857, Core Formation Grand Ceremony Twins Born. Following that, a stunningly beautiful figure slowly appeared on the rainbow bridge. She seemed to be about 25 or 26 years old with arched sword-like eyebrows, bright eyes like paintings, a proudly upturned nose, and an expression of cold detachment. Her ink-black long hair, tied simply in a high ponytail, seemed somewhat inappropriate for such a grand occasion. Tall and slender, with sharp, powerful shoulders, she was dressed in a modest yet luxurious blue cloud-patterned Taoist robe. On her snowy back she carried a deep blue magical sword exuding faint chills, making her whole aura icy and aloof. In that instant, everyone's gaze in the venue turned toward this woman. Each gaze showed a mix of surprise, astonishment, admiration, respect, reverence, affection, and more. Everyone knew that this woman was the newly promoted nascent soul immortal of Qingyun Sect, true person Qingyi. Yet, apart from the disciples of Qingyun Sect, 90% of cultivators who came to congratulate her had never seen Chu Qingyi. Seeing her today, they were immediately struck with awe. It was unexpected that Fairy Qingyi, so young, had not only achieved core formation but also possessed such an exceptional celestial grace. I bow to true person Qingyi. Congratulations on your ascension to core formation. I bow to true person Qingyi. Congratulations on your ascension to core formation. I bow to true person Qingyi. Congratulations on your ascension to core formation. The crowd around dared not look too much and quickly bowed their heads and bent their bodies to give their congratulations loudly. Lu Changxing also bent down to salute. But subconsciously, he smelled his palm, remembering his first encounter with her. In response to everyone's congratulations, Chu Qingyi did not reciprocate but accepted them calmly. After all, as a nascent soul cultivator, she was indeed nobler than those at the Foundation establishment. The difference between them was essential to life. This difference was even greater than the gap between energy refining and Foundation establishment. An energy refining cultivator who breaks through to Foundation establishment could establish a family and become a patriarch. But if one breaks through to core formation, it would be a leap in life, enjoying a lifespan of 500 years, establishing sects, watching the world's changes from thriving seas to desolate fields. If one establishes a family, they become a great clan. Soon after, Chu Qingyi walked from the Rainbow Bridge into the Grand Hall at the end of the square. Cultivators on the Dao platform also entered the hall. Those who could enter the hall were either true inheritors of Qingyun Sect, at least at false core formation true immortal, or were otherwise of extraordinary status. Tsk, this is truly a grand ceremony. Lu Changxing felt quite emotional as he viewed the scene unfolding before him. He remembered the Talisman Master ceremony held by the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain for him those years ago. Comparing the two, his ceremony was hardly fit to be called grand. Calling it a small celebration would have been generous. When I break through to nascent soul someday, I can hold a grand ceremony, releasing the 9 Netherhound, the heavenly demon phoenix just for show, and even bring in some Dao soldiers for a parade. Lu Changxing thought wistfully. It is said that wealth and honor do not return to one's hometown like walking in brocade at night. If I reach the pinnacle of the cultivation world without concerns, then I can really show off. But Foundation establishment, core formation and such, ensure everything is safe. However, Qingyun Sect is quite generous. The food, spirit fruits, spiritual wine, and spirit meals these days are quite rare. Lu Changxing looked at the food and drinks on the table and picked up the chopsticks. At this point, many people started drinking and chatting, discussing true person Qingyi. I heard true person Qingyi is not yet 100 years old, simply astonishing. Not only that, I heard that true person Qingyi condensed a superior gold core. SSS superior gold core, doesn't that mean she has the potential for nascent soul? Alas, I'm already 100 years old but still stuck in the initial stage of foundation establishment. I wonder what kind of Tao companion true person Qingyi wants to find in the future. You should stop dreaming about such out-of-reach aspirations. Being able to break through to core formation at such a young age means she's wholly dedicated to cultivation. I heard true person Kinji's master, Kaiyun True Immortal, was the same, breaking through to core formation before 100 and now has an illustrious reputation. Both the master and disciple achieving core formation is indeed a good story. Sir the Oval Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I heard that Kaiyun True Immortal has another disciple who, although still young, is also extraordinarily talented and has the potential for core formation. Many voiced their wistful admiration and envy. After all, for 90% of the people present, core formation was something they could only aspire to. The ceremony concluded after 3 days and the guests dispersed. I have a few friends in Qingyun's sect, just the right time to visit them. Lu Changxing did not go back with Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang and others. He planned to meet Xiao Shiyu and Zhao Qingqing. During these days the guests were not allowed to wander freely, so he hadn't visited the two ladies. If that's the case, Lu Daoist, we will head back. Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang along with a few other elders showed envy in their words. They had heard that Lu Changxing was acquainted with Fairy Shiyu of Qingyun's sect, and that he had formed a Tao companion with a foundation establishment disciple from Qingyun's sect. Such relationships made them exceedingly envious. Uncle, fellow Taoists, take care, and feel free to visit Bihu Lake Mountain when you're free. Lu Changxing was very polite. He always followed the principle of not offending others unless they offended him first. As long as the other party was respectful, he favored peaceful relations. After all, he had a family to consider, so maintaining these social relationships was necessary. He couldn't act like a loose cultivator, overly solitary. He took out a yin-yang sensing talisman and sent a message to Xiao Shiyu. Before long, clad in a moon-white dress, with an elegant and noble demeanor, Xiao Shiyu arrived. Changxing. Xiao Shiyu's eyes revealed tenderness and warmth. Since they were still in Qingyun's sect, they didn't immediately express their longing upon seeing each other. Additionally, Xiao Shiyu mentioned she had matters to attend to and would soon accompany her senior sister, Chu Qingyi, to the Luoyun mountain range. Going to the Luoyun mountain range? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 858, Core Formation Grand Ceremony Twins Born. Lu Changxing was somewhat surprised. He didn't expect Xiao Xia to rush to the Luoyun mountain range again, and so urgently at that. Yes, not long ago my master fought a mighty battle with a real person of the Wuxia sect, resulting in the revelation of a secret realm beneath the vein. Xiao Xia did not hide this and spoke directly. A secret realm appeared beneath the vein. Lu Changxing heard this and was surprised. He had been very astonished when he first heard this news. What kind of vein requires a nascent soul immortal to personally oversee? Not only to oversee, but now two nascent soul immortals had fought, revealing a secret realm. According to some patterns in the cultivation world, the formation of this vein was very likely to be influenced by this secret realm. This meant that this secret realm was no simple matter. Shiyu, you must be careful on this trip. Here is a substitute talisman I've crafted. Lu Changxing immediately took out a substitute talisman that he had cultured from his storage bag. He had previously given Xiao Xia ordinary third-rank lower-grade talismans, but not these crafted substitute talismans. Yes, Changxing, I understand. Xiao Xia felt warmth in her heart as she took the talisman from Lu Changxing. After a brief conversation, she bid farewell to Lu Changxing, asking him to take good care of their daughter Wangshu, and said she would come to Bai Lake Mountain after she was done with her affairs. Sigh. After watching Xiao Xia leave, Lu Changxing waited for a moment, letting the guilt in his heart slightly subside before he took out Zhao Qingqing's yin-yang sensing talisman. He had stayed in Zhao Qingqing's 100 Herbs garden for 3 days before leaving the Qingyun sect and returning to Bai Lake Mountain. Bai Lake Mountain, Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. My husband. Su Rian had already emerged from closed-door cultivation, successfully breaking through to Foundation establishment. After her breakthrough, she underwent no small change. Her clear eyes turned a fiery red, as intense as fire, like a burning red moon. Those crimson pupils, matched with her fire-red hair and naturally red lips, made her appear even more unapproachable, like a sacred and noble phoenix. However, upon getting closer, one couldn't help but want to extinguish this flame. Not bad. Lu Changxing looked at the stunningly beautiful face in front of him, gazing into her eyes that shined like rubies. He knew that cultivating such a high-level cultivation technique would inevitably result in significant changes after a breakthrough. But he hadn't expected Su Rian's transformation to be so pronounced. Not only did her hair turn fire-red, but now her eyes had transformed into crimson pupils. Continuing this cultivation, she wouldn't grow animal ears and tails, right? He took Su Rian into Changxing Hall to thoroughly inspect the changes after her Foundation establishment breakthrough, to see if other places were also as fiery. Afterwards. This is a divine forbidding talisman. Once planted, you can return home. Lu Changxing took out a well-cultured talisman and handed it to Su Rian. Although she had sworn an oath through her heart demon, promising not to reveal the situation of Bai Lake Mountain and Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, he had to be completely certain. Once the divine forbidding talisman was planted, if she disclosed information about Bai Lake Mountain to outsiders, it would explode, obliterating her soul. Thank you, my husband. Su Rian bit her lip gently, speaking softly. Knowing she still didn't have Lu Changxing's full trust, she obediently dropped her essence blood on the divine forbidding talisman and actively planted it within herself. In an instant, the spirit talisman burned away, transforming into a speck of light, entering her forehead sea of consciousness, making her feel a pulsating power. This is a third-rank spirit talisman? Su Rian was astonished in her heart, knowing this was definitely not a second-rank spirit talisman. However, after witnessing the variety of techniques from Lu Changxing, she wasn't surprised by the third-rank talisman. She simply regarded Lu Changxing with even more reverence and fear, realizing that he could readily produce such third-rank talismans. Immediately after, Su Rian went to see her son Lu Qinsha, and left by Lake Mountain for the Yushui Su family the next day. As for the ancient beast taming charm, naturally she couldn't take it with her. It remained with Lu Changxing. After all, Lu Changxing was at ease with letting Su Rian go. But if he let both Su Rian and Hong Lian go, he wouldn't feel at ease. Not to mention, his divine forbidding talisman might be effective on Su Rian but not necessarily on Hong Lian. Moreover, keeping the ancient beast taming charm in his possession was also a shackle for Su Rian. Sir, the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Half a year later. By Lake Mountain. Lu family mansion. Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, and Lu Miaoyan waited outside the delivery room. After many years, Lu Changxing once again felt a mix of anticipation and a little nervousness. Ling Zixiao had been pregnant for 13 months, and the twins in her womb were finally about to be born. He was both hopeful and anxious for these two children, eager for their arrival and their spiritual root talent. After all, a 13-month pregnancy indicated that these children would definitely have exceptional talents. Like when Xiao Xia was pregnant with Lu Wangshu, it only took 11 months. But faced with this situation, he also feared a little. What if his daughter inherited Ling Zixiao's dragon roar physique? After all, the issues with the dragon roar physique were truly difficult to resolve. Even now, he hadn't managed to completely eradicate Ling Zixiao's dragon roar physique. Time passed, unmeasured. Suddenly, wah! The crisp, resounding cries of two babies rang out. At the same time, at that moment, a powerful and mysterious sensation surged through his body. And then a system prompt sounded. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 859. Twin Spiritual Bodies, False Core Combat Power. Congratulations to the host for giving birth to 4 spiritual body offspring. You get 1 lottery chance. Congratulations to the host for giving birth to 5 spiritual body offspring. You get 1 lottery chance. Both these children have a spiritual body? Lu Changxing was startled by the system prompt. Immediately, under the surge of a profound and mysterious thrill, he was enveloped by an indescribable sensation. Spiritual root. His spiritual root had advanced. It had ascended from 2nd grade to 1st grade. Are these two children's spiritual roots 1st grade or Earth Spirit root? At that moment, Lu Changxing's heart was like a tempestuous sea, with waves rising high. He knew the twins' talents were likely to be extraordinary. But he hadn't expected such an immense surprise. See the Ovalfire net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Not only did they both possess a spiritual body, but the enhancements to their spiritual roots had directly promoted his own from second to first grade. Lu Changxing quietly savored this profound experience. From the enhancements he received from his offspring's spiritual bodies, he vaguely felt something familiar. Dragon Roar origin. It was the very same Dragon Roar origin he once sensed and devoured from Ling Zixio's body. Yet this origin source was still quite weak, and there seemed to be some indescribable changes. Lu Changxing immediately realized that one of these two children carried the inheritance of Ling Zixio's Dragon Roar physique. Who is it? Lu Changxing was eager to find out whether it was his son or daughter who had inherited the Dragon Roar physique. However, just then, another system notification sounded. Detection. The host's current spiritual body is with flaw, and attributes overlap. Perform fusion? Spiritual body with flaw? Overlapping attributes? Fusion? Lu Changxing was taken aback. What did this mean? In the next instant, a flow of information entered his mind, clarifying the matter. The twins born of Ling Zixio both had the Dragon Roar physique. However, their Dragon Roar physiques were with flaw and neither was complete. Lu Changxing was at a loss for words upon hearing this. The conditions of his two children today had indeed taken him, an experienced father, through an emotional roller coaster. Yet he had heard of such cases before. There were rumors that some cultivators, although possessing superior spiritual roots and spiritual bodies, faced slow progression in cultivation due to either innate deficiencies or a constitution weak and ill, leading to a spiritual body with flaw, with only partial traits existing. But such was certainly not the case for his own children. During Ling Zixio's pregnancy, not only did she have enough nutritious supplements, but she also took third-order spirit pills, specifically the spirit fusion pill. Moreover, Lu Miaoge would often use Tai True water to regulate Ling Zixio's body and nurture the fetuses. It could be said that the two children had been winning from the start, even in the mother's womb. Additionally, according to the system's judgment, both children's spiritual bodies were clearly well-formed. Is it because they are twins? Lu Changxing pondered in his heart, suspecting it might be due to them being twins. However, even with flaw Dragon Roar physique, it's probably not weaker than the typical spiritual body. Lu Changxing was always contented with what he had and was quite satisfied with this situation. It was only the issue of his daughter inheriting the Dragon Roar physique that gave him a slight headache. He had worried about this prospect before, yet it had come to pass regardless. The Dragon Roar physique will only truly reveal itself upon reaching foundation establishment. When my child faces issues with the Dragon Roar physique, there will be at least 20 or 30 years. By then, solutions may not be out of reach. Lu Changxing's frown eased slightly. Since the situation had already arisen, he was confident that he could resolve his daughter's condition in the future. Changxing. At this moment, Lu Miaoge called out to Lu Changxing, who was by her side. Good. Lu Changxing hurriedly returned to his senses and walked into the delivery room with Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyun. Inside the room, the two midwives were full of joy, bowing and saying, "Congratulations, my lord, you have a young master and a young miss." Thank you. You've worked hard." Lu Changxing smiled and handed over the red packets he had prepared in advance. "Thank you, my lord, thank you," both exclaimed with grateful faces. Giving birth for cultivators was generally very smooth and without danger, especially for a foundation establishment cultivator like Ling Zixio. Their main purpose was to prevent accidents and to serve the couple. Lord. Ling Zixio was cradling the pair of children, sitting weakly on the bed. Perhaps it was because she bore twins, or that both had exceptional talents that placed a large toll on the mother, leaving Ling Zixio's complexion pale and frail. "Zixio, you have worked hard." Lu Changxing quickly sat down on the bed and spoke softly. Then he looked at his son and daughter in her arms. Although the twins had extraordinary talents and both possessed the Dragon Roar physique, they did not present any spectacular congenital anomalies. They just seemed much cuter than the average babies, their skin rosy, translucent, and glowing like two porcelain dolls. "They're so cute." Lu Miaoge also approached and said tenderly, looking at the two children. Subsequently, she circulated her mana, using the Tai True water to regulate Ling Zixio's body. "My lord, this one is the brother and this one is the sister." Ling Zixio handed one child to Lu Changxing. She had discussed with Lu Changxing before that no matter who was born first, The boy would be the elder brother and the girl the younger sister. On this matter Lu Changxing naturally deferred to her. MHM. Lu Changxing looked over his son. He keenly noticed that deep in his son's pupils, there seemed to be a faint, almost imperceptible golden sheen. Is it because of the dragon roar physique? Lu Changxing knew that even though the dragon roar physique was a latent spiritual body, it would gradually awaken with growth and cultivation. He then took his daughter in his arms for examination. His daughter's eyes were clear and pure, without the unusualness seen in his son. Although both children had with flaw dragon roar physiques, it wasn't to say that their dragon roar physiques were identical. Hence, Lu Changxing wasn't certain whether it was a gender issue or a matter of the dragon roar physique itself. Lu Lingxiao Lu Lingyi. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 860, Double Spiritual Body False Core Combat Power. Lu Changxing looked at the two infants who were curiously staring at him without crying or making noise, gently pinched their little faces, and checked their attribute panels through the system. Name, Lu Lingxiao, Lifespan, 1/90th, Talent, 1st grade Spiritual Root, Dragon Roar Physique, Deficient. Cultivation Level, None, Talent, Array Formation Compatibility, 35%. Name, Lu Lingyi, Lifespan, 1/90th, Talent, 1st grade Spiritual Root, Dragon Roar Physique, Deficient. Cultivation Level, None, Talent, Body Refining Compatibility, 59%. So they are both 1st grade spiritual roots. No wonder, Lu Changxing murmured to himself looking at the talents of his children. He had thought there might be an earth spirit root among them because of the spiritual root enhancements. Unexpectedly, not only were their spiritual bodies the same, but their spiritual roots were the same as well. One can only say, it's truly befitting of twins. He then turned his attention to the talents of his children. His son's talent in array formations was decent, but not outstandingly high. However, for his daughter to have such a talent in body refinement from birth was rather astonishing. Could it be influenced by the dragon roar physique? Lu Changxing pondered inwardly. The dragon roar physique indeed provided enhancements to body refinement. But logically, shouldn't this body refinement enhancement be present in his son Lu Lingxiao? After all, the dragon roar physique was only useful for males, and for daughters, it would instead become a burden. Could it be that the body refining part of the dragon roar physique was inherited by Xiaohe, while the other aspects were inherited by Lingxiao? Lu Changxing speculated in his mind, somewhat puzzled by the situation of his children's dragon roar physique. He could only await their growth for the spiritual body to awaken and manifest with age. Perhaps because he had been pinching her little face for a while, the younger sister cried out in displeasure. Seeing this, the brother also started crying. Oh, don't cry, don't cry. Upon seeing this, Lu Changxing immediately came back to his senses, laughed heartily and soothed the children. He did not know whether it was the connection of blood, or his own charisma and affinity, but he was quite successful at comforting infants. That day, Lu Changxing announced he would be hosting a family banquet to celebrate the birth of the two children. Search * the Novelier. N.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. It was not because the children had extraordinary talents, but because Ling Zixiao was his Lu Changxing's Dao companion, the mistress of Bihu Mountain. Now that they had given birth to offspring, it was fitting for the whole clan to celebrate, to show their importance. In response to this situation, Ling Zixiao was also very generous, directly declaring that she would give red envelopes and happiness money to all cultivators of Bihu Mountain. She had saved quite a bit in her earlier years. Now on Bihu Mountain, her stipend as an array master was the highest. And since she had not cultivated for many years due to the dragon roar physique and consequently had not spent spirit stones, she was very wealthy. However, this was also because Ling Zixiao had long been stationed on Bihu Mountain and never left. If she had been willing to set up formations for others with her array skills, it would have been quite the rolling wealth. Late at night, Lu Changxing finally had some free time and went to his own cave mansion. System integrate, he called to mind. He integrated the yet-to-be-enhanced spiritual bodies of his children. In an instant, he felt the dragon roar origin within him begin to stir and slowly grow. A rich and intense yang energy surged through his body. However, at this moment, the yin-yang energies that spiraled within his chi ocean core flew out, coursing through his limbs and bones. What's going on? Lu Changxing was startled and slightly confused. Why did it seem that no matter what, his own yin-yang energies had to get involved? But in the next moment he understood what was happening. Because the dragon roar origin was among the yin-yang energies. The dragon roar origin he had wrenched from Ling Zixio's body had all merged into the yin-yang energies. Now, with the help of the system, as he integrated the deficient dragon roar physique of both of his children, the yin-yang energies were affected. Moreover, this yin-yang energies in his body were always yin dominant and yang deficient. It was only barely maintaining balance with the help of its spirit-nurturing energy. But now, possessing the dragon roar physique, a top-tier yang constitution, it began to affect his origin source, starting to remedy the imbalance within the Tao Foundation origin source. Is this the effect of a top-tier physique? Lu Changsheng's face showed surprise and delight. Although the blood talisman spiritual body and flawless heavenly fragrance body he previously obtained weren't bad, they had not provided any significant boost to his cultivation. But this dragon roar physique was giving him clear benefits at that very moment. Roar, roar, roar. As the two deficient spiritual bodies merged, Lu Changsheng could clearly feel his Buddhist qi and blood surging like an erupting volcano, billowing tumultuously, resembling a great solar furnace, as the yin-yang energies gradually came into balance. He didn't know how much time had passed. The yin-yang energies, like a solid yin-yang fish, returned and gently swam around the side of the Five Elements Tao Foundation. In an instant, the Tao platform, resembling a Five Elements jade disc, trembled lightly, with strands of lustrous light flowing around, mysterious and magnificent. Hoo! At that moment the elixir lake, like a deep seven-colored pool, began to stir, forming a vortex, siphoning the surrounding nature's spiritual energy. Breakthrough. At this moment, his seven luminaries' great freedom sword scripture began to operate on its own, desiring to break through. What? Lu Changsheng was first shocked, then showed a face full of surprise. Immediately he sat cross-legged, taking out all the collected high-quality spirit stones. Then he took out vial after vial. His current mana, which had not reached the limit of 700 drops of liquid state, started to break through directly under the influence of the dragon roar physique and the transformation of the Tao Foundation. This was similar to the situation when Lu Miaoge underwent Heavenly Foundation establishment back in the day. He naturally wanted to seize the opportunity and break through the realm in one fell swoop. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changsheng continued calling out Mount Sumeru, letting it provide its Mount Sumeru cave heaven spiritual energy in full force to his cave mansion. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 861. Double Spiritual Body, False Core Combat Power. This is also one of the advantages of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Ordinary spirit vein cave mansions, once depleted of spiritual energy, can be very troublesome, only able to constantly siphon the surrounding spiritual energy. But Mount Sumeru can actively transport the spiritual energy within the cave heaven, and even help siphon the spiritual energy from by Lake Mountain. Yes, Master. Mount Sumeru immediately responded, mobilizing the spiritual energy within the cave heaven. Splash! Lu Changsheng sat quietly in meditation, consuming 3 elixir medicines and holding 2 superior-grade spirit stones. Within the Qi ocean core of his Dantian, liquid mana surged violently, forming whirlpools that devoured countless nature's spiritual energy and compressed and condensed it into liquid mana. Drip, drip, drip. Droplets of iridescent 7-colored liquid mana entered the elixir lake. It was hard to tell how much time had passed when the liquid mana in the elixir lake reached its limit and roared thunderously. The Yin-Yang 5 Elements Foundation base glowed radiantly at this moment, circulating Yin and Yang in the 5 elements, assaulting the realm and continuously expanding the Qi ocean core. The mana in the elixir lake revolved around the Tao Foundation during this process, continuously condensing and faintly forming a spherical shape. Once his cultivation level reached the peak of foundation establishment, achieving perfection, he would attempt to condense mana into true essence, ready to break through to core formation. Boom! Lu Changsheng's realm shattered like water flowing into a channel. From the middle stage of foundation establishment to the late stage, for many, is a chasm, an insurmountable gap. S.E.A. the Novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Some might never break through in their lifetime. But now, before Lu Changsheng, there were absolutely no bottlenecks hindering him, as natural as eating or drinking. With the breakthrough, the Tao Foundation burst forth with radiant light, and the mana surged like mighty rivers, washing over his meridians and flesh. Every realm breakthrough also slightly elevated a cultivator's physical body. Although not comparable to body-refining cultivators of the same order, it was still extraordinary. Due to his body cultivation, this baptism had little effect on Lu Changxing. But during this process, his meridians and dantian became more condensed and resilient. Late stage of foundation establishment. A hint of joy appeared on Lu Changxing's face. I've finally broken through to the late stage of foundation establishment. Advancing to the late stage of foundation establishment brought him one step closer to achieving core formation. He directed his divine sense towards the profound origin bead within his Qi Ocean core. At this moment, the profound origin bead was furiously inhaling and exhaling spiritual energy and mana, constantly rotating and emitting seven-colored twilight. This profound origin bead could make the energy refinement late stage comparable to foundation establishment, and the foundation establishment late stage comparable to false core. Now, as Lu Changxing broke through to the late stage of foundation establishment, the effects of this profound origin bead finally reached their apex. Rumble, rumble, rumble. After a long while, the profound origin bead calmed. Only a faint seven-colored radiance flowed over it, exuding a sacred and profound aura. Is this the mana of false core level? If not using talisman formation or other methods, merely fighting normally, I'm afraid it would take 3 moves for me to subdue my past self. Lu Changxing felt the mana flowing through his body, quietly savoring the indescribable delight of power permeating his body. Not only his mana but his physical body and the 100 refinements treasure body art at this moment had also reached the 7th layer's peak. It wouldn't be long before he could break through to the 8th level, reaching the quasi-third order. I wonder how my current strength compares to a true false core immortal? Lu Changxing pondered in his heart. Although the profound origin bead could make the late stage of foundation establishment comparable to false core, in reality, he had yet to confront a false core. Mount Sumeru. With a thought, he called out to Mount Sumeru, commanding it to pull him into the illusionary realm of Mount Sumeru. Since he wasn't sure, he might as well use Mount Sumeru to test it. The next moment, dressed in a blue magical robe that rustled without wind, he appeared in a murky realm of gray mists in the Mount Sumeru illusion. Buzz. Lu Changxing looked ahead at the rolling fog, lightly lifted his palm, fingers joined together, and a fiercely sharp 7-colored sword Qi burst forth. Whoosh, layer upon layer of gray mist was pierced. Afterward, Lu Changxing patted his storage bag, and the true Yang 5-element sword appeared in his hand. Whoosh, 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 the brilliance of the 5-element sword burst forth, tearing through the void and whipping up a storm of sword Qi, stirring the surrounding gray mist. This true Yang 5-element sword is just a middle-grade spiritual artifact. It's completely insufficient now. With my current strength, I am fully capable of wielding magical treasures. Lu Changxing looked at the true Yang 5-element sword in his hand and shook his head disapprovingly, finding it dull. This spiritual artifact could not support him when he went all out. Then an ancient lamp, circulating like 7 stars, appeared above his head. It was his life-bound spiritual artifact, the 7 Luminaries Heart Lamp. This 7 Luminaries Heart Lamp also needs resources to be recast. Otherwise, nurturing it slowly like this will clearly not keep up. Lu Changxing looked at his life-bound spiritual artifact and exhaled deeply. This 7 Luminaries Heart Lamp, nurtured by him over the years, was just barely a middle-grade spiritual artifact. Now it was also unable to keep up with his pace. At this moment, Lu Changxing realized that he had always been benevolent and never sought conflict. Yet now he found himself without a single handy magical treasure. If he were to face a false core immortal, he would suffer from not having a magical treasure. I wonder if I can activate a superior quality magical treasure? Lu Changxing thought of the superior grade magical robe he was wearing. In theory, as a superior quality magical treasure, the fate-defying robe wasn't something he should be able to activate at his level. But there was no harm in trying. Immediately, he urged the mana in his dantian, madly infusing it into the fate-defying robe. Suddenly, the prohibitions within the robe started to flicker. But that was it. No matter how much more mana he expended, he could not fully activate the might of this robe. He could only barely make use of a few of the robe's teleportation prohibition effects, unable to achieve invisibility in the void. He would have to wait until he reached core formation to fully unleash this robe's potential. A superior quality magical treasure is still too much of a stretch. Using such a magical treasure is more loss than gain. With my strength, I can at most handle a lower-grade magical treasure. However, I can start preparing to forge the 7 Luminaries Star Sword from the 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword scripture. Even if it doesn't become a magical treasure, just 7 magical treasure embryos would still be tremendously powerful. Lu Changsheng's eyes slightly narrowed, thinking of the accompanying magical treasure from the 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture, the 7 Luminaries Star Sword. With this set of flying swords once completed, he could set up a simplified 7 Luminary sword formation, significantly increasing his combat strength. However, 7 magical treasures flying swords would be enormously expensive. Many materials couldn't be bought in the market and had to be acquired through various channels, trading items for items. Although he was quite wealthy, comparable to a nascent soul cultivator, forging these 7 magical treasure embryos was still a difficult burden to bear. Forget it, I've always been kind and don't like conflicts, there's no rush to forge these 7 luminary star swords, I can slowly gather the materials. Lu Changxing shook his head, dismissing the idea of forging this set of magical treasure embryos now. After all, if he really had to face an enemy now, he still had talisman formations, 9 treasures Rui Bone, Endless Guileful Head, and the Dark Demon Corpse. These were enough for him to face an average nascent soul cultivator. Immediately afterward, he willed Mount Sumeru to send him back to his cave mansion. He inquired about how his attack power compared to Xiahou Wuwa before. Mount Sumeru immediately indicated that his sword chi power just now was still much weaker than Xiahou Wuwa, but within a range where they could contend. In that case, I suppose I do have the normal false core strength. Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow, inwardly thought. Originally, Xiahou Wuwa in the Mount Sumeru illusion had used a life-bound magic treasure to attack, while he had only used a middle-grade spiritual artifact. Given a magical treasure, of course he would be considered at normal false core strength. But I still have 2 more draws, who knows, maybe he'll get something good. Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed slightly. Although both his children were spiritual bodies with flaws. In the system's judgment, both were spiritual bodies, so he obtained 2 draws. This also confirmed for Lu Changxing that as long as he had a child born as a spiritual body, he would have a draw opportunity. System draw? Lu Changxing spoke aloud. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 862. Evil X Banisher Elixir, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Ding. Congratulations host for obtaining a 3rd rank Evil X Banisher Elixir. The reward has been sent to the system space, and the host can check it at any time. An elixir medicine pattern immediately emerged from the Great Roulette, accompanied by a system notification sound. Evil X Banisher Elixir? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow and looked towards the system space. Immediately, information about the Evil X Banisher Elixir appeared. Search * the novel, F. Ire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Elixir Medicine, Evil X Banisher Elixir. Quality, 3rd rank. Description: the Evil X Banisher Elixir can break goo poison, seals, curses, prohibitions and other divine skill effects. Lu Changxing looked at the effects of the Evil X Banisher Elixir in front of him, his brow slightly furrowed. Although this effect is alright and could solve some unexpected situations, currently, it was of little use to him and would only collect dust. Right now, with so many elixir medicines, only the Spirit Pill, Purple Mansion Elixir, and the Coagulation Crystal Elixir are somewhat useful. Lu Changxing gently shook his head and looked at the system to continue. Draw the lottery. The system's great roulette in front of him began to spin again. Ding. Congratulations host for obtaining a 3rd rank Origin Flame Seed, Thunder Gang Yen. The reward has been sent to the system space, and the host can check it at any time. A 3rd rank Origin Flame Seed? Is this Heavenly Spiritual Fire? Lu Changxing looked at the reward and a trace of surprise showed on his face. The world is filled with many spiritual fires. Once cultivators obtain the Origin Flame Seed of these spiritual fires, they can claim them for their own. These spiritual fires have immense applications. Not only are they incredibly powerful and can be used for fighting techniques, but they are also invaluable to alchemists and artifact refiners. For example, a lot of 2nd rank elixir medicines without an alchemy chamber or earth core fire, Lu Changxing couldn't possibly refine them. Because the flames he condensed with his mana were insufficient to support him for long periods of alchemy, and the temperature was not high enough. But if he had a type of heavenly spiritual fire, he wouldn't need to rely on earth core fire. Moreover, according to the records and books, using such heavenly spiritual fires for alchemy and artifact refining would not only increase the success rate but also significantly improve the quality of the elixir medicines and magic artifacts produced. Thunder Gangyan, a third-rank flame seed, seems to be quite an impressive heavenly spiritual fire. Lu Changxing looked towards the system space. Instantly, information about Thunder Gangyan appeared. Flame seed, Thunder Gangyan, quality, third rank. Description: an intense flame from the heart of a volcanic magma, after enduring countless thunder tribulations and fusions, develops a hint of spirituality, with a wild and dominant attribute. Thunder Gangyan with a wild and dominant attribute? Seems like this type of spiritual fire is more suitable for refining artifacts rather than alchemy. Lu Changxing, with an eyebrow raised, looked at the Thunder Gangyan before him. As a second-tier top-level alchemist, he had some understanding of flames, knowing that for alchemy, one would mostly use flames of a gentler nature. Only a small number of elixir medicines would require such wildly dominant flames. However, at least it's a third-rank heavenly spiritual fire, even if not for alchemy, it's a good option to have on hand. A smile appeared on Lu Changxing's face. He did not immediately extract and refine the heavenly spiritual fire. This trip was simply a chance to take a break and draw a lottery. He had just broken through and had been delayed for quite some time. Now, it was natural to accompany his wives and concubines first. At the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. What did you say? Spirit stone veins were found deep within the mine near Bihu Lake Mountain in Black Cloud Mountain Range? The Zhao family ancestor showed a look of surprise upon hearing the report from the Zhao family patriarch. When Bihu Lake Mountain was first established, Lu Changxing sold many properties and veins under his name or cooperated with other families. As a neighboring foundation establishment family, their White Tiger Mountain Zhao family took over a vein at the mine. Unexpectedly, beneath that vein, a spirit stone mine was discovered. Yes, ancestor, I went to verify it. This spirit stone mine is not small. It contains middle-grade spirit stones and can be mined for at least 50 to 60,000 pieces. The Zhao family patriarch spoke with joy in his voice. 50 to 60,000 spirit stones were not a small number for their Zhao family. 50 to 60,000? The Zhao family ancestor's eyes narrowed sharply upon hearing this. This was not a small number indeed. And that was just an initial estimate. He asked gravely, does the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain know about this? These past 10 years, the Lu family has only taken care of distributing profits without inquiring into matters. It was only since last year that a little girl would come to oversee and check. The Zhao family patriarch shook his head and said, so the Lu family still doesn't know about this spirit stone mine. The Lu family doesn't know yet. The Zhao family ancestor's face showed a thoughtful look as he said, if we were to hide this, how long could we keep it a secret? He naturally didn't want to give this spirit stone mine to the Lu family. Once informed, their Zhao family would only get a sip of the soup at best. Ancestor, if the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain finds out, our family may face big trouble, the Zhao family patriarch said, showing a worried and fearful expression. Although the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain had only been established for just over a decade, its founder, Lu Changxing, was renowned and formidable. Just into his foundation establishment, he relied on talisman formations to slay 3 foundation establishment cultivators of the Yu family, thus establishing the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain. Later, with his wife Lu Miaoga, they killed 5 foundation establishment cultivators in the Red Leaf Valley market. The family also had an array master in residence. Such strength and battle records, even if exaggerated and relying on external items, were undoubtedly impressive. They were not something their Zhao family could compare to. I am well aware, which is why I am asking you how long we can keep this a secret. The Zhao family ancestor looked at his kin's fearful face with a touch of disappointment, knowing that cultivation was a struggle for the great Tao. Now that such an enormous opportunity had presented itself, his descendants were showing fear at the mere name of the other party, which was very disappointing. We can conceal it for some time at present, but once we start mining in full force at most half a year from now, they will undoubtedly notice something amiss. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 863. Evil X Banisher Elixir, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Moreover, I have already investigated. This girl is not just putting on a show or going through the motions, she checks thoroughly every time. The Zhao family patriarch thus spoke. What is this girl's name and is there a way to bribe her? The Zhao family ancestor continued to inquire. This woman is named Lu Rui and is the daughter of Lu Changxing's concubine. The Lu family of Blue Lake Mountain is famously generous toward the family's disciples. It may not be easy to bribe this woman. A serious expression appeared on the Zhao family patriarch's face. Lu Rui? The Zhao family ancestor heard the name but did not remember anything particular about it. Being the Zhao family ancestor, he was familiar with the situation at Blue Lake Mountain. However, Lu Changxing had too many children to keep track of them all. He mainly remembered that the Lu family once had two fourth-grade spiritual root talents, named Lu Qingxian and Lu Wangshu. Then, the person in charge of the Lu family's puppet factory seemed to be Lu Xianji. If this woman is not yet married, send someone to test the waters and make contact with her. If it seems feasible, go to Blue Lake Mountain to propose a marriage and see if we can tie her to our Zhao family. The Zhao family ancestor spoke gravely. Their family had suffered heavy losses in the battle at Blackwater Pool years ago. Not only had a foundation establishment ancestor died, but several foundation establishment seeds as well. Over the years, he vigorously supported and nurtured new blood, and gradually the family situation improved. However, this also caused the family to be caught in a financial crunch. If they could develop this spirit stone mine, it would not only relieve the family situation but also provide the finances to cultivate new foundation establishment cultivators. Blue Lake Mountain. Lu family mansion. Dad, these are our family's immortal seedlings from the Xian generation this year. Lu Qingsong had gone to Rui Prefecture for the spirit root testing ceremony and brought back the Lu family's disciples who possessed spiritual roots to Blue Lake Mountain. Greetings, grandfather. The two from the Lu family's Xian generation greeted Lu Changxing with respect. Their eyes were somewhat curious as they sized up the grandfather before them. They had heard from their parents that their own grandfather was an immortal, and now they could also undertake cultivation. What are your names? Lu Changxing asked the two children softly. I am Lu Xianchan and I am Lu Xuanyu. The two children crisply responded. Xianchan Xuanyu. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, asked a few simple questions, and then had his son Lu Yun settle the two children. As time passed, now and then an immortal seedling would appear among the worldly descendants of the Lu family. This year, producing two was considered quite good. After all, the total number of the Lu family's third generation had reached 197, almost equal to the number of his children. But among these 193 children, only 13 were spiritual root children. Moreover, 9 out of these 13 were from Blue Lake Mountain, born to Lu Yun, Lu Xianji and others. One can only say that with both parents being mortals, birthing a spiritual root is extremely difficult. They could only rely on the large numbers to luck out a few. A month later, Lu Changxing, recalling the Thunder Gangyan in his system space, expressed that he sensed something and was ready to enter closed-door cultivation for a period. Naturally, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao and others had no objections. After all, this is the daily routine of most cultivators. Like Lu Miaoge, who often entered closed-door cultivation, sometimes staying in his cave mansion for 10 days or half a month. For Lu Changxing, spending most of his days leisurely and accompanying his wives and children was really an anomaly among cultivators. Extract. In the Changxing Hall, inside his cave mansion, Lu Changxing looked at the system space and silently uttered a command. Immediately, a palm-sized purple-red flame appeared in mid-air, exuding an intense heat. As it burned and tumbled, it seemed as though a purple thunder snake was moving through the flame, wildly and terrifyingly, causing significant distortions in the space around the flame. Deserving of a third-rank heavenly spiritual fire, truly terrifying like this. Lu Changxing slightly stepped back, marveling at the Thunder Gangyan before him. From the system's information on the Thunder Gangyan, he knew that if he could refine this Thunder Gangyan, his combat power would increase by a level, giving him an additional method. However, such a heavenly spiritual fire that had developed ascensions was not easy to refine and subdue. It's good that I have an edge. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and then slowly exhaled. Next, he took out a magical sword artifact and forcefully slashed his palm, causing blood to flow and cover his hand. Come on, little guy. Lu Changxing's mana flowed, enveloping his hand as he slowly extended it into the Thunder Gangyan. Even though the Thunder Gangyan had a sentient consciousness and no intention to harm him, just the innate power of the flame made his palm burn and sting, as if his skin was against a red-hot iron. Damn. If it weren't for my breakthrough to the late stage of Foundation establishment, possessing the profound origin bead, and having mana comparable to a false core, even with the system's help, it would be impossible to refine such a third-rank flame. Lu Changxing felt the scorching pain in his palm and sharply inhaled. If it weren't for the system's information about the Thunder Gangyan giving him confidence and knowing he could refine it, he would definitely have given up. The Thunder Gangyan, sensing Lu Changxing's pain, the purple snake within started to draw his fresh blood. As it absorbed the blood, the burning flame gradually diminished until it condensed into a thumb-sized purple-red origin flame seed. This was the origin flame seed of the Thunder Gangyan. From the information in the system, Lu Changxing knew that when the Thunder Gangyan initially formed, it was nearly the size of half a mountain. Only through continuous condensation did it gradually take this shape. Only then could it truly be called a heavenly spiritual fire. The real test of skill has arrived. Search * the novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing looked at the thumb-sized flame seed in his hand, his eyelids twitching. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 864. Evil X Banisher Elixir, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Next, he needed to swallow the seed of fire and then refine and assimilate it with his mana. This was the most dangerous step in refining heavenly spiritual fire. Whether they were energy refining cultivators, foundation establishment cultivators, or nascent soul immortals, the internal parts of the body were always the most fragile. Especially the meridians and dantian. If something went wrong, at best cultivation could be half ruined, at worst one could die. Thus, refining heavenly spiritual fire was very dangerous. Most alchemists and artifact refiners in the world would choose to cultivate some sort of innate true fire technique and divine skills. Only a very few dared to refine heavenly spiritual fire. Yet before refining, they would prepare various heavenly and earthly treasures to minimize risks. Or, being nascent soul immortals, they would choose to refine second-rank heavenly spiritual fire and then gradually nurture it. Someone like Lu Changxing, who prepared nothing and even dared to refine heavenly spiritual fire of a higher rank than his own, was truly one of a kind. Anyone who saw this would exclaim, "Aren't you seeking death? If not for this control talisman, this thing would really be creepy, practically playing with life." Lu Changxing looked at the seed of fire and clicked his tongue in emotion. He took out several ice attribute talismans and healing talismans from his storage ring, along with 1 or 2 bottles of elixir medicines. Then, his mana spread throughout his body, and he raised his palm and tossed the seed of fire into his mouth. Though Mr. Lu cherished his life and disliked suffering, he was willing to endure some minor hardships for a great reward. After all, not being able to endure hardships and not liking to endure hardships were two different things. Once the seed of fire entered his mouth, Lu Changxing immediately closed his lips tightly, grunted, and his face turned slightly pale. He bore the intense burning heat inside his body, closed his eyes, sat cross-legged, and his divine sense sank into his body. One could see that once Thunder Gangyan entered his body, it immediately dispersed into strands of fine purple-red flames circulating through his meridians. Even though these flames were extremely fine, like strands of hair, they carried intense heat and seemed as though they were going to burn and melt his flesh and muscles. Puff puff puff, the mana covering Lu Changxing's body was constantly being consumed. He immediately took the prepared elixir medicines and talismans, allowing a cold stream to surge throughout his body to suppress the scorching heat. Then he began to refine the seed of fire with the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture and the 100 refinements treasure body art in operation. As his cultivation techniques operated, the Thunder Gangyan was very cooperative. This was also the confidence he had to dare refine the seed of fire. Otherwise, during this process, if the seed's inherent consciousness began to fiercely resist, causing the flames to become more furious and the fire to blaze, it would be extremely dangerous. Hum hum hum. At this moment, it seemed as if a dragon's roar sounded within Lu Changxing. His dragon roar physique instinctively awakened, unleashing a fierce and domineering yang energy that swept out, rushing towards the Thunder Gangyan, aiming to suppress the source of the seed and aid in its refinement. The dragon roar physique has such an effect? Lu Changxing looked surprised. Although he vaguely knew about the dragon roar physique, he was unaware of the specific powers and effects of this spiritual body. Unexpectedly, the dragon roar physique could actually help him refine heavenly spiritual fire. Could it be because both dragon roar physique and Thunder Gangyan possessed dominating attributes of extreme yang? See the novel, Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing guessed in his heart. At this moment he personally experienced the effects of having a top-level spiritual body. No wonder many top-tier techniques, treasures and spiritual beasts, which ordinary cultivators found difficult to subdue, were easily subdued by geniuses. Because with good talent, facing these things was supposed to be much simpler and easier. Without much thought, Lu Changxing calmly refined the origin of this flame seed. With the active cooperation of the Thunder Gangyan and the help of the Dragon Roar physique, the refinement process became much smoother instantly. During this process, Lu Changxing realized that the Dragon Roar of Yang energy was continuously merging into the Thunder Gangyan in his body. Accompanied by the Thunder Gangyan circulating through his meridians, it gradually fused with his physical body, meridians and mana. This process was very mystical, causing some inexplicable changes to the Thunder Gangyan. Just like this, time passed little by little. He didn't know how much time had passed. The thumb-sized flame seed fused all the diffused purple-red flames and reformed into a small flame. Lu Changxing had initially refined this flame seed and could roughly control this cluster of Thunder Gangyan. But he still needed to be careful in controlling it, otherwise a careless mistake could injure himself. He did not stop and continued refining the Thunder Gangyan, preparing to refine it all at once. As the Dragon Roar of Yang energy and Thunder Gangyan kept merging, the origin of the flame transformed into a purple-golden thunder dragon, possessing a more divine and domineering aura. This made the flame circulate and wander through his meridians repeatedly, gradually tempering his meridians and bones, accelerating the operation of his 100 refinements treasure body art at this moment. He didn't know how much time had passed when Lu Changxing completely refined the Thunder Gangyan. Boom boom boom. At this moment his physical body radiated brilliant light, emitting a terrifying pressure of blood and qi, with countless purple-red flames rolling out from his body, very terrifying. Thunder Gangyan. Unexpectedly, the Thunder Gangyan is such a perfect match with the Dragon Roar physique, and a perfect match for me. Now this Thunder Gangyan can be called Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, and within his ink-black pupils, 2 clusters of purple-golden flames rose and diffused, looking fierce and domineering. The diffuse purple-red flames in the cave mansion, under his control, transformed into a purple-red flood dragon, akin to a snake and dragon intertwined, coiling around his body and exuding a scorching and terrifying aura. Normally refining this Thunder Gangyan would never result in such power. But this Thunder Gangyan matched extremely well with the Dragon Roar physique. With a determined effort, he transformed this Thunder Gangyan into his personal spiritual fire. Now he not only perfectly controlled the Thunder Gangyan, but also slightly enhanced its power. Not only that, under the effect of the Thunder Gangyan and the Dragon Roar physique, my 100 refinements treasure body art also directly broke through to the 8th level, and my body refining reached the quasi-3rd order level. Now, if I engage in close combat relying on this Thunder Gang Dragon Flame, false core cultivators stand no chance against me. Lu Changxing stretched his body, immediately causing crisp crackling sounds all over, while the surrounding flames gradually disappeared. Although he refined the Thunder Gangyan into his personal spiritual fire, it still consumed mana. To break through, I still need to rely on drawing lots and spiritual bodies. I wonder what other effects the flawless heavenly fragrance body has besides extending life, bewitchment, and speeding up cultivation. As another top-level spiritual body, the effect of the Dragon Roar physique is so astonishing. The flawless heavenly fragrance body should not be any less impressive. Lu Changxing exhaled deeply, returning to his normal state, murmuring to himself. He thought about whether he could get more of this extremely young and rigid heavenly spiritual fire in the future, to set one up for his son Lu Lingxiao as well. After all, as his father he had already tested it, and the Dragon Roar physique was really useful, matching perfectly with the heavenly spiritual fire. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 865. The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. Lu Changxing walked out of his cave mansion feeling refreshed and realized he had been in closed-door cultivation for nearly 2 months. He took the ancient beast taming charm from Ling Zixio's hand, and the voice of Hong Lian echoed in his mind, bringing him news. The 9 Netherhound has advanced to the 2nd order? A look of joy appeared on Lu Changxing's face. Although he no longer considered 2nd order strength as something significant, the wish to fly on the back of the 9 Netherhound had long since been shattered. But it was still 2nd order strength after all. An extra Foundation establishment spiritual pet to guard the home. Yes, young master. Inside the ancient beast taming charm, Hong Lian's voice sounded. Immediately after, Lu Changxing walked out of Changxing Hall and had her release the advanced 9 Netherhound from the ancient beast taming charm. Source, web novel. Updated on N0 New 0. The ancient beast taming charm shimmered with colorful lights, and a shadowy light burst forth, it was indeed the Nine Netherhound. The Nine Netherhound's body was now enormous, standing about 3 meters tall. With a head like a wolf's, ferocious and terrifying, with vertical scarlet pupils between its brows, interlocking sharp fangs that were chillingly cold and intimidating beyond measure. Its body was covered in dense, dark hair, but if one were to comb through the hair, they could see a layer of glossy, black scales, hard and cold. Not bad, not bad. As Lu Changxing sized up the Nine Netherhound before him, he stepped forward to stroke its fur, smiling. The dog before his eyes had been his first pet beast, who had accompanied him for so long. There were quite a few emotions there. Come, let me see just how strong you are. Lu Changxing gestured to the Nine Netherhound before him with a curl of his finger, signaling it to make a move against him and test its power. A woo! The Nine Netherhound howled towards the sky, its body surging with demonic power, creating a fierce wind. This was not just a mere roar. It was a sonic attack, carrying a terrifying and ferocious force. Ordinary energy-refining cultivators or even demon beasts would be shaken to their core at such a roar, bleeding from all orifices and trembling with fear. Continue. Lu Changxing nodded, signaling the Nine Netherhound to keep going. The Nine Netherhound immediately turned into a blur, pouncing towards Lu Changxing with claws like daggers glinting with a cold light. Bang! Faced with such an onslaught, Lu Changxing remained calm and still, raising his hand to meet it head-on. It's about at the middle stage of the second order in body refinement. He commented aloud. For a heavenly rank bloodline demon beast like the Nine Netherhound, even just having broken through to the second order, it already possessed strength surpassing that of an ordinary Foundation establishment cultivator. Roar! From between the crisscrossed fangs of the Nine Netherhound, black ripples pulsed, giving its teeth an unstoppable cold gleam. This was its strongest attack, capable of damaging even spiritual artifacts. See the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing looked at the sharp fangs, his mouth twitching, and decided against experiencing a dog bite. He flicked his finger and sent a blade of sword chi towards the Nine Netherhound. In an instant, the Nine Netherhound's fur bristled like pine needles, exuding a dark luster that deflected 30% of the sword chi's strength. Then, like black metallic scales, it resisted and dissolved the sword chi, with only a few strands of fur drifting down. Very good. Lu Changxing nodded in satisfaction. He was very pleased with the Nine Netherhound's strength, high attack power, high defense, and strong vitality. If it could advance further and awaken its bloodline supernatural powers, its strength would leap to another level. But seeing such demon beast strength, he couldn't help but think of Azure Phoenix Immortal's feat of fighting the 3 demon kings alone. Rumor had it that these 3 demon kings all possessed heavenly-grade bloodlines, with astonishing battle prowess. In comparison, this Azure Phoenix Immortal was indeed quite impressive. Even if the so-called solo combat included riding a third-order mount and bringing 500 Dao soldiers, his combat strength was unquestionable. Having been in the ancient beast taming charm for so long, let's let you out for a while. Lu Changxing looked at the Nine Netherhound before him and pondered aloud. Even though his family had the Mount Sumeru Tree King as its defender, it was not practical to activate the Great Formation and rely on Mount Sumeru for every situation that arose. Therefore, it made sense to let the Nine Netherhound preside over the home openly. Next, Lu Changxing informed Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge about the Nine Netherhound's advancement to the Second Order. After consulting, the 3 decided the Nine Netherhound would become the clan guardian spirit beast of Bihu Mountain, with the current family head of the Lu family taking care of and managing it. In this way, when the family faced some issues, the family head would also have the capacity to solve and deal with them. There was no need to notify Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, or Ling Zixiao about everything. Then Lu Changxing called Lu Miaoyun and Lu Yun over to inform them about the Nine Netherhound. Xiao He has grown so big? Xiao He has advanced to a second-order monster beast? Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao were all right, as they were aware of many aspects of Lu Changxing's situation. Lu Miaoyun and Lu Yun, however, were quite surprised to see the second-order Nine Netherhound before them. After all, a second-order demon beast was equivalent to a foundation-building great cultivator. Even though Bihu Mountain now boasted Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and by Ling 4 foundation establishment cultivators, the addition of a second-order demon beast was still astonishing. Especially since this second-order demon beast had once been an ordinary household dog in Qingzhou Mountain, playing with the children as a companion. Now to see the pet from those days advance to the second order was quite a surreal experience for them. I'm not even a match for a dog. Lu Yun had vague memories of the Nine Netherhound, having played with it as a child. Later on, as he grew older, his father had sent the Nine Netherhound to the mundane world as a guard dog, and he hadn't seen it since. He never imagined that, after so many years, he had only broken through to the 6th level of energy refinement, while the once big black dog had become a second-order spiritual beast. "Father, I will surely take good care of Xiaohei," Lu Yun immediately said respectfully. Xiaohei is its nickname, its big name is Jiuyo. Lu Changxing felt constantly calling it Xiaohei really lowered the prestige of the Nine Netherhound. After all, it was a heaven-ranked demon beast and now the openly recognized clan guardian spirit beast of his Lu family. Jiuyo good. Lu Yun nodded in agreement. He also felt the name Xiaohei was too commonplace. Why Xiaohei, you like this name? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 866. The Nine Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. At this moment, Lu Changxing watched his daughter Lu Lingyi stare intently at the Nine Netherhound in Lu Miage's arms and laughed. "Ya," Lu Lingyi babbled. Although Lu Changxing didn't understand baby talk, he still pinched her fair little cheek and said, "When you grow up, Daddy will give you one." According to the current lottery, the pets he acquired were basically cubs. But he most likely wouldn't need these cubs himself. Since that was the case, they could become pets for his children. In the future, every prodigy of the Lu family would have a heaven-ranked spiritual pet as standard. "Lingyi, thank your daddy." Holding her son, Ling Zixiao smiled softly and said to her daughter. Although she didn't know where these top-tier demon beast cubs were coming from, having one grow alongside her children would greatly help their future cultivation. "Ya," Lu Lingyi chattered on. Although she was only a few months old, it was evident that this daughter was much more lively than her brother Lu Lingxiao. This reminded Lu Changxing of his son Lu Qingshan and his daughter Lu Qingzhu in the past. One was lively and the other was quiet. Dawn broke with a pale light and clear skies. Screech. A black-winged golden-beaked eagle soared through the sky, flying over the Starfall Chess Arrangement mountain range and diving downwards. Is this by Lake Mountain? On the eagle, a middle-aged man around 40 with a heroic face, dressed in a black brocade robe, looked forward to the continuous mountains surrounding a vast emerald green by Lake Mountain and said. Moments later, the eagle landed outside by Lake Mountain, kicking up a gust of wind. "Who goes there, may I ask your business at by Lake Mountain?" The disciple guarding the gate shouted upon seeing the visitor. One of the disciples, dressed in the apparel of by Lake Mountain and a member of the Lu family, showed surprise on seeing the heroic figure in a black robe, hesitantly asked with some uncertainty, "You are Uncle Li?" "Indeed, it's me." Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Li Feiyu smiled slightly as he was recognized by the other, but he couldn't immediately recall the other's name. When he left years ago, aside from individuals like Lu Pingan who were in their teens, most of the children were still toddlers. Now, more than 20 years had passed and those children had grown up. Even as a cultivator with extraordinary memory, he could not fully recognize them from their childhood features. "Uncle Li, please wait here while I go inform the family head, my father," the Lu family's descendant said. He recognized Li Feiyu, but still followed protocol and did not open the gate immediately, instead going to notify the family head. "Lu family mansion. That's wonderful, my Jinjin is really amazing." Lu Changxing was with Chu Jinjin and Bai Ling, hearing that Chu Jinjin had finished the refinement of the auspicious tree and begun proper refinement. As for Lu Miaohuan, since the abyssal ghoul blossom was a level more difficult, it would take much longer to refine. Just then, Lu Yun came to the outside of the hall to inform that Li Feiyu had arrived. "Uncle Li?" Lu Changxing was startled, then reacted with surprise and excitement. "You mean Feiyu is here?" "Yes, it is indeed Li Feiyu, Uncle Li." Lu Yun nodded. He knew his father and Li Feiyu had a good relationship but was unclear on the specifics. "Good." Lu Changxing nodded in response, immediately transformed into an escape light and flew out from Baiyun Peak, heading to the mountain gate. He had been concerned about Li Feiyu's safety ever since the substitute talisman had transmitted a signal. Knowing now that Li Feiyu had returned safely filled him with joy. "Mountain Master, father?" The guarding cultivators saw Lu Changxing and immediately bowed in salute. Lu Changxing nodded, opened the gate, and with a smile said to the heroic figure in a black brocade robe, "Li Feiyu, Feiyu, you have finally returned. I encountered some unexpected events which led to the delay," Li Feiyu said with some emotion. He certainly remembered the time frame he had promised before. So, after breaking through to Foundation establishment, he had settled his affairs in Azure Phoenix Immortal City and immediately hurried back. It seems the unexpected events worked out for the best. Congratulations on your breakthrough to Foundation establishment. Lu Changxing, whose divine sense now surpassed most at the Foundation establishment peak, noticed at a glance that Li Feiyu had broken through Foundation establishment. Foundation establishment? The people nearby were astonished to hear this, looking at Li Feiyu with surprise. They had not expected that he was a foundation-building great cultivator. A look of respect instantly appeared in their eyes. It was just some luck, and actually I owe a lot to you, Changxing. Li Feiyu said earnestly. Oh, it's related to me? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow with interest. Let's go inside and talk. He didn't ask further and invited Li Feiyu into Bai Lake Mountain. This Bai Lake Mountain surrounded by hills and water really looks pretty good. As the two flew toward Bai Yun Peak, Li Feiyu looked around at the scenery and commented. As a Foundation establishment cultivator who had spent many years wandering the outside world, he had some discernment. He could see that the environment and spiritual energy of Bai Lake Mountain were exceptional. Ha ha ha, indeed it is quite nice. Lu Changxing laughed loudly, introducing the situation of his home to his friend. That mountain up ahead is Bai Yun Peak, the main vein of my Lu family. That one is called Lingtsue Cliff, our family's spirit medicine garden, and over there lies Bai Shui Lake where we breed aquatic life. You may have heard of the red blood carp and blue blood carp, but recently I bred some aquatic spiritual beasts. Changxing, you are truly enjoying life with the family being so well ordered. Li Feiyu said with emotion, admiring the surroundings. For the years he had been outside striving and cultivating, he sometimes considered whether to give it all up and settle down. Having a family spirit land of one's own and not drifting about is probably the ultimate dream for a loose cultivator. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 867. The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. You've now broken through to Foundation establishment. If you wish, you can also seek out a spirit land and establish a family just like I did, Lu Changxing said with a laugh. I'll think about that later, Li Feiyu said gently shaking his head. He thought the life was nice but he didn't entertain such notions, especially since he had just gained the opportunity to join the Azure Phoenix Guards under the Azure Phoenix Immortal. As long as he seized this chance, he hoped to break through to the middle stage and late stage of Foundation establishment in the future. Alright, Bihu Mountain welcomes you anytime, Lu Changxing said without trying to persuade him further. He could tell that Li Feiyu's Dao heart was very firm. People like this usually didn't stop in their tracks to choose a comfortable life. The two of them arrived at Bai Yun Peak. Uncle pays his respects to Li Feiyu. Lu Yun was waiting outside and immediately greeted Li Feiyu when he saw him. Although his memory was a bit fuzzy and he didn't quite recognize Li Feiyu, he could still identify him. This is Lu Yun. Feiyu, you should remember him, Lu Changxing said to Li Feiyu. So it's Lu Yun. Time flies, he's grown so much, Li Feiyu said, realizing the other was the son of Miaoyun, the fourth elder of the Lu family. His expression revealed a hint of nostalgia. He hadn't gone home on this visit. Over 20 years had passed by now, and his own children were likely settled down. He took a bracelet from his storage bag and said, Here, this is a gift from your Uncle Li. Ha, Feiyu, there's no need to be polite. Otherwise, your storage bag may not be enough for all the gifts, Lu Changxing teased with a smile. Those who come first get first served, Li Feiyu said chuckling, and he let Lu Yun accept the bracelet. But Lu Yun didn't know if he should accept it. Since it's a gift from your Uncle Li with all his heart, Yuner, you should take it, Lu Changxing said when he saw his honest son hesitating. He never liked this kind of excessive formality. The two arrived at the Lu family mansion. Lu Changxing briefly introduced Li Feiyu. Miaoyun, Chu Jinjin, and others were quite surprised when they saw Li Feiyu and learned that he had broken through to Foundation establishment. After all, in the Qingyun region, a Foundation establishment cultivator could be considered an ancestor of a domain. Li Feiyu, with a low-quality spiritual root who had been an idle son-in-law in Qingzhou Mountain for years, had somehow broken through to Foundation establishment upon his return. Especially Miaoyun. She came from Qingzhou Mountain and knew the difficulty of Foundation establishment. See the novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. For many years, Qingzhou Mountain had only just managed to continue the lineage of Foundation establishment until the situation had recently improved. Who would have thought that among the immortal seedlings brought back by Uncle Yuan Ding, two Foundation establishment cultivators, Lu Changxing and Li Feiyu, would emerge. If word got out, it would be nothing short of astonishing. Li Feiyu looked at the many women and children in his home, thinking that his good brother had truly not forgotten his beginnings and had always stayed constant. Thinking about how he fought for his life outside while Lu Changxing lived such a life and broke through to Foundation establishment with ease, even with his firm Dao heart, he couldn't help but feel envious. However, he was happy to see his good brother's life getting better and better. After a while, someone arranged for food and drinks, and the two went to the side hall to catch up and chat. It's also a matter of fate and fortune, Li Feiyu said, holding his wine cup and recounting his experience. That day in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, I ran into an old nemesis who chased me and encountered a second-order monster beast blocking the way. Facing such a situation, it was like facing certain death, but thankfully, it was the talisman you gave me, Changxing, that saved my life. Then, under the transportation of the talisman, I arrived deep in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, and guess what happened next? Li Feiyu continued. Lu Changxing was speechless. He had previously speculated that if Li Feiyu encountered danger in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, if the substitute talisman transported him deeper, that would be dangerous. He had not expected such a situation to actually occur. Could it be that you just happened to come across some cave mansion or secret realm, or perhaps some treasure? Lu Changxing asked, raising an eyebrow. Correct, but you definitely couldn't guess the situation at the time, Li Feiyu continued, taking a bite of his food. Didn't you have a treasure map of an ancient relic site before? I was just transported right outside the relic marked on the treasure map. Amazing, Lu Changxing said after a moment of silence, uttering two words. Whether following the plot of a novel or as a character favored by luck in the cultivation world, Li Feiyu had indeed obtained a main character's template. He continued to ask, isn't that relic deep in the Myriad Beasts mountain range supposed to be dangerous? The treasure map contained information on the relics, with many hidden dangers and challenges. It would not be simple for Li Feiyu, who was at the Qi refinement realm, to gain something from it. No, I didn't explore that relic site. There, I happened to meet the Azure Phoenix Immortal, Li Feiyu said. The Azure Phoenix Immortal? The #1 independent cultivator of Jiang Kingdom and the city lord of Azure Phoenix Immortal City? Lu Changxing exclaimed in surprise. Yes, by providing information from the treasure map to the Azure Phoenix Immortal, I was granted this chance to break through to Foundation establishment. And the Azure Phoenix Immortal promised that if I broke through to Foundation establishment, I would be allowed to join the Azure Phoenix Guards, and if the breakthrough failed, I would be given a sum of spirit stones, Li Feiyu affirmed. After finishing, he got up, took out a storage bag with a serious expression, and said, Changxing, my obtaining this opportunity is largely thanks to you. This is a little token of my gratitude. Lu Changxing marveled at Li Feiyu's fortune and saw his friend suddenly act this way, immediately waving his hand and saying, Feiyu, you're being too formal. You've just broken through to Foundation establishment and need resources. There's no need for this. He had no interest in the ancient relic site from the treasure map. Seeing his friend obtain the opportunity for Foundation establishment through it, he was happy for him and felt it was worth it. Just accept it, Changxing. Otherwise I really can't be at peace, Li Feiyu insisted earnestly, placing the storage bag in front of Lu Changxing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 868. The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. _4 This spirit stone was obtained after he broke through to Foundation establishment and took revenge by killing Zhu He, then selling off his possessions for spirit stones. But he knew that compared to the opportunity he had obtained, these spirit stones were hardly worth mentioning. Okay. Lu Changxing understood his friend's character and nodded in agreement. At that moment he suddenly thought of the rumors about Azure Phoenix Immortal's injuries and asked aloud, Feiyu, I've heard Azure Phoenix Immortal was gravely injured. Is that true or false? Could the Immortal have been injured while exploring this ancient relic site? Lu Changxing asked in such a manner. The news might be true, or it might be a deliberate release by Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Sar the Novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I previously swore a heart demon oath not to speak of what is within the relic site, Li Feiyu spoke in a low voice. Azure Phoenix Immortal City deliberately released it. Lu Changxing narrowed his eyes slightly, feeling that these words carried a more intriguing implication. He pondered and said, I remember Azure Phoenix Immortal isn't young anymore, right? Indeed, the city lord was already famous 200 years ago. By now he should be 300 to 400 years old. Therefore there are rumors that the city lord has reached the core formation peak long ago and has been out of the public eye for these years, all in pursuit of the nascent soul, Li Feiyu said with a touch of emotion. From a loose cultivator to his current status, aiming for the nascent soul, Azure Phoenix Immortal could be considered legendary. 300 to 400 years old? Lu Changxing nodded. Once a nascent soul cultivator exceeds 350 years old, the probability of forming a nascent soul significantly decreases. If they exceed 400 years, there is essentially no hope of forming a nascent soul. Azure Phoenix Immortal's age makes it impossible to delay any longer, and it's likely that all his actions in recent years have been driven by the pursuit of the nascent soul. Attaining the nascent soul is not easy. Our Jiang country cultivation realm seems to only have the Heavenly Sword sect with a fourth-order spirit vein. Lu Changxing took a light sip of his drink and continued to speak. He had discussed this issue with Ling Zixiao and Xiao Xie before. He knew that in the entire Jiang country, only the Heavenly Sword sect had a fourth-order spirit vein capable of nurturing a nascent soul's foundation. Even Qingyun sect, Luoxia sect, and Spirit Taming sect only had third-order top-grade spirit veins. And certainly the Heavenly Sword sect would not lend their spirit vein to Azure Phoenix Immortal for his breakthrough. That's right, even after so many years of cultivation, Azure Phoenix Immortal City's spirit vein is only a third-order superior grade, far from reaching the fourth order. Moreover, Azure Phoenix Immortal City, located near the Myriad Beasts mountain range and on the border of Jiang country and Yu country, is a place neither side wants the city lord to succeed in forming a nascent soul. Li Feiyu shook his head and said. He had been won over by the various deeds and personal charisma of Azure Phoenix Immortal in his early years. Now that he had become a member of Azure Phoenix Immortal City and had contact with this legendary figure, he held even greater admiration. TSK. Lu Changxing clicked his tongue in wonder, thinking to himself just how difficult it was to break through to the nascent soul. As a loose cultivator in Jiang country, breakthrough to core formation is possible. But to break through to the nascent soul without going to another country or seeking opportunities abroad, there was virtually no chance. In the future, forming his own nascent soul would also pose the same issue. However, this was still too far away. The matter of core formation hadn't even been decided upon yet. Feiyu, now that you've joined Azure Phoenix Immortal City, do you plan to return afterward? Lu Changxing looked at Li Feiyu and asked. Yes, once I've settled my family situation back home, I'll go back, Li Feiyu said, his expression somewhat grave. Pursuing the Great Tao inevitably meant leaving behind many emotional ties. His return this time was intended to take care of all his family matters. Okay, let me know when you're heading to Rui Prefecture. I'll go with you, Lu Changxing nodded and said. The Lu family now also had a certain influence in Rui Prefecture. Moreover, his children were related by marriage to Li Feiyu's children, so it was the right time to visit. Li Feiyu nodded in response. Li Feiyu had stayed on by Lake Mountain for 3 days before he set out for Rui Prefecture with Lu Changxing. Chu Jinjin, having completed the ritual refinement of the auspicious tree, could not leave by Lake Mountain once she began to cultivate the heavenly longevity technique. Thus, accompanying them was also to prepare for a later visit to Zhoushan Mansion to pay homage to her parents. And as it happened, Lu Wangshu had heard about it and was curious to see what his secular family home was like. In this way Lu Changxing, along with his wife, children and Li Feiyu, arrived in Rui Prefecture. The arrival of these individuals in Rui Prefecture caused no small stir for the Li family in Hongyi. After all, Li Feiyu, who had been away for more than 20 years, had returned. Li Feiyu's wife and children were somewhat incredulous upon seeing him and hesitated to recognize him. Sigh. Lu Changxing, seeing such a scene, sighed inwardly. In the face of such a situation, Li Feiyu simply entrusted his family to Lu Changxing, hoping he would help take care of them in the future. He then left his father and brothers some elixir medicines, talisman scriptures, and a basic cultivation technique. Upon learning of Li Feiyu's breakthrough to foundation establishment, Hong Yi felt a mix of emotions. He thought back to the time when the 6 of them had taken the Immortal Sect's assessment together, and now 4 had achieved foundation establishment. They had become lofty foundation-building great cultivators. Although Han Lin had not made a breakthrough to foundation establishment, he was nonetheless far superior to him in status, thanks to his artifact refining skills and his identity as an Immortal Sect disciple. If I had focused on cultivation instead of getting involved in the affairs of power, might I have had the hope of reaching foundation establishment? Hong Yi mused to himself. He suspected that Zhao Qingqing's breakthrough had something to do with Lu Changxing. Now, after conversing and learning that Li Feiyu's foundation establishment owed much to Lu Changxing, he couldn't help but think that with his relationship with Lu Changxing, had he seriously cultivated earlier, perhaps foundation establishment would have been possible for him. But after some deliberation, he realized he simply did not possess Li Feiyu's determination to forsake everything for the sake of cultivation. Even now, at the 9th level, given a foundation establishment elixir, his chances of making that breakthrough were virtually nil. Black Cloud Mountain Range. Deep within a mining vein. Miss Lu, why bother? Although Bai Lake Mountain offers good terms to my knowledge, you're hardly valued and your prospects for foundation establishment are slim. If you agree to cooperate with White Tiger Mountain, my Zhao family is willing to share 10% of the profits from this spirit stone mine with you. Furthermore, if you are willing to marry into my Zhao family, not only will you not lack for resources, but you will also get a share of foundation establishment spiritual objects in the future. The Zhao family elder tried to persuade Lu Rui, who was bound before him. He had not expected the matter with the mining vein to be detected so quickly by this young girl. She had stealthily infiltrated with the help of an invisibility talisman and discovered the spirit stone mine concealed by a formation. Elder Zhao, if you release me now, I can overlook this incident as if it never happened. Otherwise, should anything happen to me once my family learns of it and investigates, the Zhao family will not be able to escape responsibility. Lu Rui said coldly. Though she had an 8th grade spiritual root and her mother was a concubine, not garnering much attention in the family, at least she had a good family environment without any intrigue or sordid schemes. Her brothers, like Lu Pingan and Lu Xianji, took good care of her as their sister. And not only did the family provide plentiful resources for her and her siblings, but they also offered a variety of choices for lifestyles, which was 100 times better than other families. She knew well that, in most families with her level of talent, the ultimate fate was alliance through marriage to another family. But in the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family she had the right to choose. Especially now, when many smaller families in the surrounding area took pride in marrying into the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. She really didn't hold White Tiger Mountain's Zhao family in high regard. Miss Lu, I urge you to think it over carefully. After all, demon beasts frequently roam the Black Cloud Mountain range. It would be quite normal for you to encounter danger here and be devoured by a demon beast. Seeing his polite entreaties fall on deaf ears, the Zhao family elder said with a cold voice. He then instructed 2 of the family's young people to keep a close watch on Lu Rui. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 869, White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge, Dragon Seeker. Rui County City. Li Feiyu had been settling family matters these days. Lu Changxing, on the other hand, had been taking his wife and children on trips around the area. Just then Lu Changxing felt an inexplicable sensation surge through his heart. Given the previous situation with Li Feiyu, he could confirm that it was his substitute talisman being used. Who could it be? It doesn't seem like Pingan or Qingshan Qingzhu? Lu Changxing was puzzled in his heart. The sensation was very faint. Yet, he could somehow sense that this talisman use was not like before with Li Feiyu, originating from a distant place. Could it be Xianji Rui, or Chuanjin who are in danger? He furrowed his brows, guessing in his heart. Currently there were 14 Lu family disciples out handling family matters. Apart from Lu Pingan, Lu Qingshan, and Lu Qingzhu who were not around, the other Lu family disciples had not traveled far. They were just managing business and family affairs in the surrounding area. This was why there had never been any mishaps among the Lu family disciples. After pondering for a while, Lu Changxing exhaled lightly and said, Jinjin, there is something at home, I need to go back. Dear, what happened at home? Chu Jinjin immediately asked with concern. Just a small matter that needs to be handled. Lu Changxing said softly. Hearing this, Chu Jinjin did not continue to inquire further. Soon after, Lu Changxing returned to the county city, informed Li Feiyu that he needed to go back due to some issues. Changxing, is there something wrong? Li Feiyu, hearing that Lu Changxing needed to return suddenly, immediately asked. Do you remember the talisman I gave you? I refined it with my heart's blood so I can sense it vaguely. Not long ago, I sensed that a talisman had been activated. It must be one of the children at home who is in danger. After a moment of contemplation, Lu Changxing spoke. He'll come with you, maybe I can be of some help. Li Feiyu immediately offered. Hey, no need for such a big fuss, it might just be a robber cultivator threat. Lu Changxing shook his head and chuckled. As he saw it, their children were only active around the area, and the only possibility was encountering a nomadic robber cultivator. However, considering the flaws of the substitute talisman, that being its erratic teleportation, should this child like Li Feiyu be transported to a dangerous place, it would then be troublesome. It's fine, I've almost dealt with the situation here, Li Feiyu said. Alright, since that's the case, let's go back and check. Lu Changxing, seeing this, nodded. He then took his wife and children and headed back to Blue Lake Mountain, Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wu Jing mine site. Besides the Zhao family disciples managing the operations here as cultivators, most of the miners were ordinary humans. However, to be a miner here, one needed to be skilled in the martial path. Otherwise, even with a magic artifact, it would be impossible to endure the intense workload day and night. Outside the mine, an elder in a purple robe who felt something hurried out of the room. He immediately saw an old man in his 50s, with gray hair and a tall stature, descending from a flying boat. He hurriedly stepped forward to greet him. Ancestor, what brings you here? This purple-robed elder was none other than the Zhao family ancestor from White Tiger Mountain. Elder 9, what have you done? I asked you to be careful, and in such a short time, this girl has come to know about the Spirit Stone mine? The Zhao family ancestor spoke sternly, disappointed. This Spirit Stone mine was not large, just a small vein. If mined with full effort, it could be exhausted in 3 to 5 years. So, he thought that even if it were mined for a year or two by the time it was discovered by the Blue Lake Mountain, it wouldn't matter. Yet, it had only been a few months since they began mining, and it had already been discovered by the other side. Moreover, the situation had become so stiff, which truly annoyed him. Ancestor, please forgive me. SAR the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The purple-robed elder immediately bowed, his face showing a bitter expression. I didn't expect that this girl would notice something was off and later entered the mine with a stealth talisman to investigate. What about this girl now? Is she willing to cooperate? The Zhao family ancestor asked coldly. Ancestor, this girl is tough and unyielding. Why not use the demon-attracting fragrance and just throw her into the mountain range? Demons often appear in this Black Cloud Mountain range, and for a 6th-level energy refinement girl to die out there would be nothing unusual. Even if Blue Lake Mountain has suspicions, they couldn't possibly blame our family, could they? Moreover, I've inquired about it. Blue Lake Mountain relies solely on Lu Changxing and his wives, and currently they don't have many capable children. By the time Blue Lake Mountain arranges for someone else to come, who knows when it will be, by then, we would have almost mined this vein. The purple-robed elder spoke. In his view, although she was from the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, Lu Changxing's daughter. Yet, with Lu Changxing having 100 or 2 children, losing 1 or 2 would be unnoticed. Could they really cause a big stir and trouble their Zhao family for that? Lu Changxing takes relationships very seriously, he values feelings greatly. When he established the Blue Lake Mountain, he spent thousands of spirit stones to bring his secular wives and children to Blue Lake Mountain and even held a wedding with his mortal wives. Even if this girl isn't valued, try your best not to let him suspect our Zhao family in this matter. The Zhao family ancestor's demeanor remained calm as he spoke coldly. He was eager to swallow this Spirit Stone mine, but if possible he preferred not to provoke Blue Lake Mountain. After all, the couple of Blue Lake Mountain Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoga both practiced the dual cultivation technique, making their combat strength extraordinary. They also had Ling Zixiao, an array master. Ancestor, since that's the case, we just need to pretend to let this girl escape and secretly have someone follow her. When she is on her way back to Blue Lake Mountain, disguise as a robber cultivator and eliminate her. By then Blue Lake Mountain can't possibly blame our Zhao family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 870. White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge, Dragon Seeker. The purple-robed elder continued to speak. At his age, having spent so many years in the cultivation world, he naturally had carried out many such deeds. Or rather, it could be said that most cultivators who live to an old age possess some means. Just do as you said. Upon hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor pondered for a moment and then nodded. At that time I will take action myself. Where is the girl? He continued, preparing to confirm the situation to ensure nothing goes wrong. Elder ancestor, right this way please. The purple-robed elder immediately spoke respectfully. A moment later the two arrived at a damp and dark mine. Where is the person? I asked you where is the person? The purple-robed elder looked at the emotionally blank puppet Lu Rui in the mine, his face twisted with rage, loudly questioning two Zhao family juniors. It was not only him. The Zhao family ancestor also had an extremely cold expression, his fists tightly clenched. Once Lu Rui had discovered the spirit stone mine, there was only a dead end for her. Even if she surrendered and married into their Zhao family, her future held only death. But now the person had disappeared, leaving only a puppet? Elder ancestor, elder, we truly do not know what happened. The two Zhao family juniors, terrified, trembled and knelt to beg for mercy. How could you handle things like this? He, Lu Changxing, a talisman master by origin, his children surely would possess life-saving talismans. Could it be that you did not even know to search the body and check thoroughly? The Zhao family ancestor, looking at the purple-robed elder, spoke with a voice filled with murderous rage. With such an incident occurring, once Lu Rui returned to Bihu Lake Mountain, their Zhao family would be in danger. Had it not been for the fact that the man before him was his own brother, he would have wished to strike him down. Elder ancestor, I have already seized the girl's storage bag and checked her body. There absolutely were no magic artifacts, talismans, or treasures. The purple-robed elder hastily explained. He then, with bloodshot eyes, continued to question the two Zhao family juniors about what happened. The two Zhao family juniors also realized the gravity of the situation. Finally, with grimaces on their faces, they truthfully confessed that since Lu Rui had been unwilling to submit, they had planned to apply some means to force her compliance. Who could have expected that Lu Rui would suddenly emit a layer of white light from her body and then transform into a wooden puppet? Faced with this situation, they also did not know what to do and were just discussing how to report this. Then the elder ancestor and the elder arrived. Useless trash, you truly deserve to die. Upon hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor was so enraged that he directly kicked the two men. The kick sent the two Zhao family juniors flying out, smashing hard against the mine's stone wall and spitting blood. Not only had the two caused such an issue, Sir the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But when a problem arose, they had not immediately reported it. Had he not personally come over, by the time the news meandered its way back to their family from the mine, Lu Changxing might have already reached their White Tiger Mountain. By then his family would surely be facing a dead end. Elder ancestor, what do we do now? The purple-robed elder, also looking distressed, inquired, unsure of what to do. What to do? You still have the face to ask me what to do? On hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor became angry again and kicked towards the purple-robed elder. Pointing at the ground at the puppet he said, this girl clearly escaped using a talisman. You couldn't even manage this properly and you've messed everything up. Why don't you just go die? To be at such an age and still fail to properly search someone, allowing them to escape, it made the Zhao family ancestor tremble with rage. The purple-robed elder tried to argue and insisted that he really had conducted a thorough search. But at this moment, with the facts before his eyes, he knew that any explanation was pointless. He immediately clenched his teeth and said, Elder ancestor, she must have left just a short while ago. Why don't you take me to Bihu Lake Mountain to ask for forgiveness? Claiming that you did not know about this matter, that it had nothing to do with White Tiger Mountain, and that it was entirely my fault. The purple-robed elder thus spoke. Knowing that only by doing this, could he potentially diminish the gravity of the situation. This issue is not as simple as you think. Rumors from outside claim that Lu Changxing is famously easygoing. Do you really think he is easy to provoke? How did Bihu Lake Mountain come about, and what happened to the Yu family in the end? This man has connections within Qingyun's sect. Perhaps when the Yu family colluded with the demon path, it was all Lu Changxing's deliberate scheme, utterly ruthless and thorough. Now that Bihu Lake Mountain has 3 foundation establishment cultivators and a Dao companion from Qingyun sect, with the family flourishing, just a couple more foundation establishment, and the family's spirit land would no longer suffice. Given this chance, how could he let this go and make it small? As the Zhao family ancestor spoke more, the more enraged and fearful he became. Never had he expected such a small matter to be bungled. He couldn't help but regret. Had he known this would happen, he might as well have disclosed the spirit stone mine matter himself. Given the current situation of Bihu Lake Mountain, his own family might have managed to gain some benefits. Elder ancestor, then what should we do? The purple-robed elder, upon hearing this, spoke with a mournful expression. He, of course, understood that from a son-in-law to his position today, Lu Changxing's dealings in the dark were certainly not simple. Just establishing a family and acting as a family head, Whether for himself or his family, he usually took great care of his reputation. In the early years, our White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge shared some fellowship. Though the Spirit Stone Mine is not large, if we present it, it might be possible to persuade Golden Dragon Ridge to step in and help. After all, with Bihu Lake Mountain rising day by day, Golden Dragon Ridge would not want to see our family in trouble. The Zhao family ancestor said with an ugly expression. Golden Dragon Ridge and White Tiger Mountain's founding elders were sworn brothers. Thus, the two families had always supported each other and had a very good relationship. But 100 years ago, for some unknown reason, there was a huge fallout between the elders of the two families, cutting off their relations, and ever since, their relationship had cooled. Unexpectedly, the elder of Golden Dragon Ridge broke through to a false core. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 871. White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge Dragon Seeker. From now on, Jinlong Ridge had a false core patriarch in residence, and its fortunes soared. Meanwhile, White Tiger Mountain gradually fell into decline, the sun setting in the west, with only one foundation establishment cultivator and an old, second-rank clan guardian spirit beast. Jinlong Ridge. The purple-robed elder's face showed a touch of distress. Although the two families had been on good terms in the early years, the bonds of kinship had already faded. One could even say that if it weren't for the sake of these kinship ties and the fear of tarnishing their reputation, White Tiger Mountain would have already fallen into the hands of the Jinlong Ridge Jin family. But now the Zhao family had no other choice but to seek help from Jinlong Ridge. Although White Tiger Mountain still had other allies, families that they were on good terms with, these family forces clearly would not want to antagonize By Lake Mountain. However, before that, you must immediately head to the paths around By Lake Mountain to see if you can intercept that girl. Then send people to Red Leaf Valley Market, Qingzhou Mountain, and Hundred Birds Lake to intercept her together. If, as you said, this girl does not have a transmission talisman and cannot send a message to By Lake Mountain for help, we still have a chance. Zhao family ancestor continued. Yes, ancestor, I'll go right away. The purple-robed elder, as if seeing a glimmer of hope, promptly responded. A desolate mountain wilderness. The talisman my father gave us is so extraordinary. Lu Rui, after a dizzy spell, took a long time to recover her senses, and found it somewhat unbelievable. She had been bound, her spiritual power completely restrained, unable to be utilized. Yet she had still managed to activate the talisman through her mental spirit. Where am I? Lu Rui surveyed her surroundings, recognizing only a desolate wilderness, but unsure of her exact location. I should have used the talisman my father gave me to escape immediately. If I had the Iron Feather Eagle and a map now, I would know where I am and could quickly return home to inform my father. She bit her lip, regretting her handling of the situation when faced with danger. She had completely forgotten about the life-saving talisman her father had given her, failing to escape immediately. This led to her storage bag and spiritual pet bag being taken, making the journey back to By Lake Mountain rather troublesome. My family said being away from home is very dangerous. All the cultivators you meet could potentially turn into robber cultivators. And the place I am now might have demon beasts lurking, which would be extremely dangerous. At this moment, Lu Rui began to cautiously contemplate how she could safely return home. Now she had no magic artifacts, no talismans. Merely at the 6th level of energy refinement, having only cultivated a few basic techniques, her combat ability was among the weakest of her peers. By Lake Mountain. After returning to the family, Lu Changxing immediately had his son Lu Yun check the status of the Lu family disciples currently outside to identify which child had encountered an accident. Lu Yun was still unaware of the incident with Lu Rui, but on his father's orders he didn't ask questions and went straight to verify. Lu Changxing then waited at home for news. Congratulations, host. Your progeny has successfully borne 200 descendants, you have earned one raffle opportunity. At that moment, a system notification sounded in Lu Changxing's mind. 200, Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows. His 200th child also was about to be born. But unexpectedly, the number of his grandchildren had stepped up faster, surpassing his own. See Tich Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This is the power of having many people. Lu Changxing exhaled softly, murmuring to himself. He could faintly feel that this grandchild also had a spiritual root. But the spiritual root was probably of low quality, which for him, possessing a first-grade spiritual root, was of minimal effect. System draw. Lu Changxing thought silently in his mind. Immediately the raffle wheel appeared, glowing golden. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining second-rank dragon-seeking technique. The reward has been sent to system space. The host can check it any time. A light sphere resembling the pattern of earth veins emerged from the spinning wheel, accompanied by the system's voice. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 872. Accusing White Tiger Mountain. Something's off with the Spirit Stone mine. Dragon seeking? A dragon seeker? Lu Changxing saw this skill and his face immediately showed a mix of surprise and delight. He had heard a thing or two about this craft before. Later, from Hong Lian, he learned in detail that a dragon seeker possessed the abilities to survey spirit veins, explore mines, pinpoint dragon acupoints, and cultivate spirit veins. At that time he had thought if he could draw a feng shui master or dragon-seeking skill, there would be a way to accelerate the upgrading of the family's spirit vein. He hadn't expected the system to grant him a second-order dragon-seeking so quickly. Unfortunately, it's only a second order. I wonder to what extent this second-order dragon-seeker can perform? Lu Changxing commented somewhat regretfully. With his current eye for talent, a second-order skill was already somewhat beneath his notice. He looked at the second-order dragon-seeking technique in the system space. Second-order dragon-seeking technique. After use, you can directly acquire second-order full-level dragon-seeking technique and basic technique knowledge. Source: web novel. Updated on Omicron 0.0, activate. Lu Changxing said without any hesitation. In an instant, a vast torrent of knowledge surged into his mind. After a long time, dragon acupoints pinpointing, spirit vein surveying, so the primary methods of a dragon seeker rely on divine perception and a pair of eyes. No wonder such inheritances are rare and not famous anywhere. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, his expression slightly enlightened, having grasped the various methods of a dragon seeker. CTHNL Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A dragon seeker, through divine perception and pupil techniques, senses spirit veins, pierces through illusions, penetrates to the origin, and locates spirit veins and spirit origin. The method spoken of by Hong Lian, which involved severing the spirit vein's origin, was also included. Such techniques were profoundly mysterious and somewhat similar to a spiritual plant master's transplantation technique but were much more difficult. A mistake in severing spirit veins could mean the destruction of a spirit vein. Even if the severing succeeded, the process would still incur severe degradation. For example, a complete second-order top-grade spiritual vein might lose half of its origin after being severed. It was precisely for such reasons that there were hardly any dragon seekers daring to cultivate these methods. After all, who had the capital to practice on spirit veins? However, aside from these severing methods, there were several techniques in Lu Changxing's mind to nurture spirit veins, which could accelerate the growth of spirit veins. Origin Spirit Divine Perception, Origin Spirit Pupil Skill. Lu Changxing experienced the two main techniques of a dragon seeker. Although he had acquired full-level skills, these two techniques could not simply be understood through contemplation. They required cultivation, the consumption of heavenly and earthly treasures, and continual strengthening of one's divine perception and eyes. Only in this way could one sense through divine perception the presence of spirit veins and spirit ores within the landscapes and mountains. And then, through the pupil skill, locate the exact position of the spirit vein and discern its origin. I'll pass on the origin spirit divine perception since I'm not really going to become a dragon seeker, but I might cultivate this origin spirit pupil skill. In my home, there is a luminous treasure tree whose essence can be used to cleanse the eyes, enhancing the spiritual eye technique. Moreover, Miaoyun has sacrificed the luminous treasure tree as her life-bound spiritual root, allowing me to dual cultivate with her, clear-sighted and bright-eyed, which makes cultivating such a pupil technique twice as effective. Lu Changxing pondered. He had only previously cultivated the most basic spiritual eye technique. Later, Hong Lian provided a stack of cultivation technique inheritances, among which was a decent pupil skill. Considering his own comprehension abilities, it was too time-consuming, and since that pupil skill was more combat-oriented, he had not cultivated it. Now this origin spirit pupil skill came with the ability to pierce through illusions and discern origins, and required no time for contemplation, which he thought might be worth cultivating. By the time the pupil skill reached a small achievement, he could even venture out to search for spirit veins to upgrade Bihu Lake Mountain. After all, the current spirit veins of Bihu Lake Mountain were indeed insufficient. Whether it was for the foundation establishment of the children at home, the cultivation of heaven and earth spiritual plants, or his own core formation, higher-level spirit veins were necessary. 3 days later. Lu family mansion. Father, it's Rui's sister who has disappeared. I investigated and learned that Rui's sister's last known location was at Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wujing mine site. This mine is currently being exploited jointly by our family and the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. I questioned the Zhao family members, who confirmed Rui's sister did indeed visit the Wujing mine site a short time ago to inspect the ore stone extraction, but left afterward. I've searched through the Red Leaf Valley Market and Black Cloud Mountain Range using her identity token, but there has been no response from Rui's sister's identity token. Lu Yun reported respectfully to Lu Changxing. Rui, Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wujing mine site, White Tiger Mountain, Zhao family. Hearing this, Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed slightly, his face displaying a contemplative expression. It had been 6 days since the substitute talisman was used. And through the family records he could confirm his daughter was still alive. But no news for 6 days, no homecoming, and no response from the identity token suggested that his daughter's storage bag was likely stolen. Why would the storage bag be taken if she had used a substitute talisman to escape? That means it's highly likely that Rui was first robbed of her storage bag before escaping using the substitute talisman. A hint of coldness flickered in Lu Changxing's eyes. Changxing, this matter is probably related to the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. Li Feiyu, standing by his side, spoke up directly, his expression showing a hint of murderous intent. Although he had no proof. But given the current information, he instantly concluded that Lu Rui was harmed by someone familiar. Yuner, have the family members avoid going out, it'll bring Rui back. Lu Changxing spoke calmly. His daughter's final destination was the Black Cloud Mountain Range, so he naturally suspected the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. Despite not understanding why the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain would target Lu Rui, as long as he brought his daughter back, everything would become crystal clear. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 873, Holding White Tiger Mountain Accountable, Something's Off with the Spirit Stone Mine. Father, do you know where Sister Rui is? Lu Yun asked, somewhat surprised. I have my ways. Lu Changxing said softly, nodding his head. He then returned to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, into the talisman room, holding a talisman brush. He took out a third-rank talisman paper and began crafting a talisman. He possessed the 99 mystical talisman scripture, which encompassed a wide array of techniques. Among them was a talisman called Blood Tracking Talisman. The user could use their own blood to make the talisman direct them to the person connected by blood. 3 hours later. The talisman table surged with mana, erupting in a burst of blood-colored spiritual light. Then the light receded, leaving only a mysterious and complex rune flowing slowly. Phew, finally it's done. Lu Changxing exhaled a long breath, picked up the talisman and walked out of the talisman room. Lord Changxing. Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoga had also learned of Lu Rui's situation and came forward to express their concern. This was the first time Bihu Lake Mountain had encountered such an incident, and they had to attach great importance to it. This talisman is called Blood Tracking Talisman. It can find Rui's location by using our bloodline as a guide. Lu Changxing showed a hint of a smile when he saw the two women. Then, walking out of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, in front of the two women, he smeared his own blood onto the talisman to activate it. Buzz, buzz, buzz. However, as soon as the talisman was activated, it started swirling around on its own. One moment it pointed towards Bihu Lake Mountain, the next towards Rui Prefecture. Lu Changxing was somewhat speechless at the sight. He thought to himself, what kind of trash talisman is this to be ranked as third rank? It's not at all sensitive. Cough, cough. He coughed lightly to cover his embarrassment, then went to Baiyun Peak to find Lu Rui's mother and smeared a drop of her blood on the talisman. Suddenly, the blood-tracking talisman was suffused with a faint spiritual light, indicating a direction. I can go by myself. Lu Changxing told Lu Miaoga, Li Feiyu and others. After that, he rode a purple flying shuttle, following the guidance of the blood-tracking talisman, left Bihu Lake Mountain to search for his daughter, Lu Rui. In a desolate wilderness. Huff, huff, huff. Lu Rui, seeing that the bear demon had not pursued her, immediately sat down to rest against a large tree, taking deep breaths to recover. These few days of wilderness survival had given her a profound understanding of the difficulties normal cultivators faced. Before this, she knew her brothers and sisters had better conditions than most loose cultivators. But she never imagined that without magic artifacts, elixir medicines, talismans, and spirit stones, surviving alone was so difficult. At first, when she encountered a first-grade, early-stage demon beast, she relied on her 6th-level energy refinement cultivation to kill it. But after killing it, she realized a problem. She now had no spirit stones or elixir medicines, and restoring spiritual power was very slow and troublesome. In the following times, she did her best to avoid confrontation, fearing that her spiritual power would be depleted and attract other demon beasts. For food and drink, she only dared to pick some wild fruits she recognized and quietly hunted a few wild animals to make do. The family token is gone too. I wonder if my family can find me? Lu Rui looked around at the lush foliage and towering ancient trees, her lips tightly pursed, feeling powerless. Through these days she realized that she was still in the Black Cloud Mountain Range. Although Black Cloud Mountain Range was not particularly dangerous, her current condition made it very difficult to escape, especially now that the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain was surely searching for her. If she had a storage bag with a magic artifact or talisman at hand, she could ride the Iron Feather Eagle back home or send a message and wait for rescue. After all, with a magic artifact or talisman at hand, not to mention a first-grade, early-stage demon beast, even if she encountered a late phase of first-order demon beast, she would have some confidence. But without magic artifacts, talismans, spirit stones, or elixir medicines, she was truly at a loss. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Just then she heard the sound of the wind rustling through the grass from afar. Sir, the novel, Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Rui immediately tensed up, held her breath and concealed her aura, staying still. In earlier years she had learned wilderness survival knowledge at Qingzhou Mountain and Bihu Lake Mountain. But all that had been theory and she had never truly experienced it. The night before last she was nearly killed by a demon beast that had approached while she was resting. Thankfully, the auto-defense of her vestment robe narrowly saved her life, making her apprehensive and constantly vigilant. Phew. After a while, when Lu Rui saw no danger, she let out a sigh of relief and found a cave to rest in. Huff, huff, huff. Not long after, she suddenly heard noises outside with the sound of eagle cries and birds chirping, so she quickly hid. Rui. Just then she heard a familiar voice calling. Daddy? Upon hearing this voice, Lu Rui felt as if she was dreaming, thinking she was hallucinating. These days she had thought countless times about her father or someone from home coming to rescue her. But she knew, with her storage bag taken away and without the family identity token, her family had no means to find her. But the next moment, she saw a figure, tall and slim, dressed in a cyan magical robe, with handsome features and gentle eyes filled with concern, appear at the entrance of the cave. Rui. Lu Changsheng's eyes immediately revealed tenderness as he saw his daughter's condition. He knew that she must have suffered a great deal during these days. Daddy, woo woo woo. Lu Rui finally snapped out of her daze, knowing that her father had truly come for her. She rushed into Lu Changsheng's arms, hugging him tightly and crying in his embrace, her voice filled with grievance. All the fear and suffering of these days burst forth at that moment. She was not one to be timid or helpless. Otherwise, she wouldn't have volunteered to manage affairs outside, handling the family's business cooperation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 874. Confronting White Tiger Mountain, the suspicious Spirit Stone Mine. But for so many years she had never been subjected to such humiliation, nor experienced such frightening and precarious a life. Don't cry, it's alright, Daddy's here. Lu Changxing saw his daughter's tear-stained face and felt a pang of heartache, voicing comfort. He had always been soft-hearted, unable to bear seeing women in tears, especially when it was his own daughter. Although he hadn't paid much attention to his daughter, Lu Rui, in recent years, he had been very affectionate towards her in her early years. After all, she was the third child of his to possess a spiritual root, following Lu Xianji and Lu Chuanjun. After a moment, Lu Rui finally dried her tears and, with reddened eyes, said apologetically, Daddy, I'm useless, I've made you worry. It's okay as long as you are unharmed. Lu Changxing gently wiped the tears from his daughter's eyes and asked gently, Rui, what happened? His voice was calm and gentle, but a wave of anger was rising in his heart. For so many years, it was the first time he saw one of his children being bullied to such an extent. If it weren't for the substitute talisman he had given her, and the blood-tracking talisman, she would have already lost her life. It was White Tiger Mountain. Lu Rui spoke with a choked and aggrieved voice recounting the incident. She had previously noticed during the audit of the Wu Jing mine site that there were more miners than before, but the output had not increased. Furthermore, 2 direct lineage descendants of the Zhao family had been consistently courting her, prompting her to be more cautious. Then, using a stealth talisman, she sneaked into the mine to investigate. The result was that she alerted the Zhao family's descendants, who had already set up a formation that trapped her. At that time, I forgot about the life-saving talisman you gave me, and then, Lu Rui said in a quiet voice, her head bowed. She knew that if she hadn't acted so impulsively, and had either reported the matter to the family or activated the substitute talisman immediately, she could have escaped safely. It's fine, let Daddy handle this matter. Lu Changxing hugged his daughter and comforted her softly without blaming her. After all, it was impossible for all his children to be exceptionally talented. Besides, the children at home still lacked the tempering needed in crises and their responses to them. But through his daughter's words, he understood why the Zhao family had moved against her. See the novel, Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Wealth seduces the heart. Even a small spirit vein of a spirit stone mine could produce tens of thousands of spirit stones. For a foundation establishment family like the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain, tens of thousands of spirit stones wasn't a small sum. Enough to drive them to take risks. If it hadn't been for the substitute talisman given to his children, which allowed him to find his daughter, he could only have suspected White Tiger Mountain at most. Following the practices of Qingzhou Mountain in the past, in such a situation, if there was only suspicion without evidence, he would probably only be able to keep it in his heart and at most demand some compensation. My Blue Lake Mountain Lu family is different from other families. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, murmuring to himself. He lowered his head to look at his daughter and said softly, "Come on, let's go home first." Then, holding his daughter's hand, mana surged around him, forming a protective shield as he mounted the purple cloud shuttle and shot into the sky, turning into a streak of light that disappeared into the horizon. If a regular foundation establishment cultivator were to carry an energy refining cultivator such a distance, the mana consumption would be significant. But with the profound origin bead, his mana was comparable to a false core, and he no longer had to consider such issues. A day later, Lu Changxing brought his daughter back to Blue Lake Mountain. Father, sister Rui. Husband Rui. Lu Yun, Lu Miaoyun, and others were surprised to see Lu Changxing return with Lu Rui so soon. Changxing, what happened? Li Feiyu, upon hearing of Lu Changxing's return, came to inquire. White Tiger Mountain Zhao family. Lu Changxing said calmly. Indeed. Li Feiyu snorted coldly. Changxing, since that's the case, let's go directly to the Wu Jing mine site to confirm the situation, and then we'll head to the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain to demand an explanation. His breakthrough in foundation establishment, even though he had given Lu Changxing 10,000 spirit stones, still left him feeling indebted and wanting to help out Lu Changxing. Lu Rui by his side was somewhat astonished. She did not recognize this somewhat familiar middle-aged man, who appeared so domineering. Before her father even spoke, the man was ready to go to White Tiger Mountain Zhao family for accountability. Thinking of her father's and Auntie Mayaja's track record, she felt very assured. After all, the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain only had one foundation-building great cultivator. Although there were rumors of a second-rank White Tiger demon. But no matter what, they were no match for her family. Alright, let's do that. Lu Changxing nodded. Seeing that Lu Rui did not recognize Li Feiyu, he smiled and introduced. He Rui, don't you recognize him? This is your Uncle Li, he even held you when you were little. Uncle Li. Lu Rui remembered him, a little surprised, and quickly performed the formalities, surveying this Uncle Li. Little Rui is all grown up now. Li Feiyu laughed heartily. Yuner, go call all the Lu family disciples above the 5th layer of energy refining. Lu Changxing said after a moment's thought. His family just happened to lack a spirit land spirit vein. Since the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain insisted on clashing, he naturally would not be polite. And the children at home also lacked experience. They had not seen big events, so this trip could be an opportunity for them to witness and learn. Yes, father. Lu Yun responded immediately upon hearing this. Oh, and you can bring Jiuyo along. Lu Changxing added. After he finished, he asked Li Feiyu to wait for a bit, went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven and called for Lu Miaoga. Lord, I have recovered, and Miaoga can oversee the home just as well. Ling Zixiao, discerning Lu Changsheng's intentions, said so. As an array master, she was more suited to attack family spirit lands. Otherwise, it would not be easy for Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge alone to breach the mountain protection array of White Tiger Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 875. Accusing White Tiger Mountain, something's off with the Spirit Stone Mine. Underscore 4-inch Hehe Feiyu will go there too, and Juyo, that should be enough. Lu Changxing held Ling Zixiao's palm and spoke gently. Zixiao, you just gave birth not long ago, take good care of yourself at home. My lord, I remember that the Zhao family from White Tiger Mountain and the Mo family from Ironwood Mountain, and the Ning family from Shi Mountain are on good terms. If my lord plans to take over White Tiger Mountain, try not to make it too ugly with these two families. Ling Zixiao didn't insist, holding her son Lu Lingxiao, she nodded and spoke softly. She knew the current situation at Bai Lake Mountain. Including her Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, Bai Ling, as well as the Mount Sumeru Tree King Luminous Treasure Tree, and Abyssal Ghoul Blossom, they actually already reached the limit. It was really necessary for the family to establish a branch. But with the current situation of the Lu family, once a branch was established, it would be difficult to look after it properly, and it was essential to maintain good relations with the surrounding area. Zixiao, don't worry, I understand this, Lu Changxing said with a light chuckle. However, the main problem lies with the Jin family at Jinlong Ridge. This Jinlong Ridge is adjacent to White Tiger Mountain. The family has a false core patriarch in residence, and it is currently in a period of ascension. They definitely do not want to see our family settling in White Tiger Mountain, so my lord must be very careful. Ling Zixiao gently poked her son's cheek and continued speaking. Although she didn't pay much attention to the internal affairs of the family, she was very familiar with the surrounding situation in the Qingyun region. Jin family at Jinlong Ridge. Lu Changxing frowned slightly. He naturally knew of this family. Currently, in the Qingyun region, the largest family belonged to the beast-taming Su family. Apart from the beast-taming Su family, there were 7 false core families. Sir, the Novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. However, one of the original 7 false core families, the Xiaohou family from Blackwater Pool, was obliterated and struck off by Qingyun sect for colluding with the demon path, leaving only 6 false core families. Jinlong Ridge was one of them. He had actually forgotten about this Jin family at Jinlong Ridge. Being neighbors with them could indeed be troublesome. Although he was not afraid of the Jin family, even confident that he could crush the opposing family's patriarch. But after all, he had a family to care for with hundreds of vulnerable members. Unless absolutely necessary, he was unwilling to display excessively remarkable abilities in public. This could easily make him the target of high-rank cultivators' attention. Alright, I'll be careful about Jinlong Ridge. Lu Changxing nodded and said, since that's the case, Sister Miaoge, let's go. Zixiao, it's a hard task to look after the home. After speaking, he saw Bai Ling next to him, holding his daughter, with her big watery eyes looking at him. He immediately rubbed her head and said, oh, and little Linger, it's hard on you to take care of the home too. If Sister Ling can't handle it, the home will rely on you. Lu Changxing spoke in a warm voice. Although Bai Ling had broken through to Foundation Establishment, he never really treated her as a Foundation Establishment great cultivator, but rather as a half-daughter. MHM. Bai Ling immediately nodded vigorously in response. In her arms, Lu Lingyi also stretched out 2 chubby and tender little hands, babbling. Then Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge arrived at the Lu family mansion, taking Li Feiyu and 19 middle-stage Qi refinement children, piloting the spirit boat toward the Black Cloud Mountain range. This number of people perfectly fit on 2 spirit boats. Having experienced the spiritual vessels of Qingyun sect and Jinyang sect, Lu Changxing couldn't help but fantasize at this moment about when his own family would own a large spiritual vessel. Not to mention the familial wars, arriving in a spiritual vessel simply screams oppression. I wonder if the system could draw a large spiritual vessel. Lu Changxing thought to himself. This kind of spiritual vessel was a strategic level resource, not only expensive but normally impossible to buy without any purchasing channels. At this moment, several dozen miles away from Bai Lake Mountain, 2 disguised cultivators from the Zhao family saw 2 spirit boats sweeping across the sky at high speed, and their expressions suddenly shocked. They couldn't make out the situation on the spirit boats, but they could see a rough estimate. Judging by the personnel on top and the direction toward Black Cloud Mountain range, it was very likely that they were people from Bai Lake Mountain. They immediately transmitted messages to notify their family. A day later, the two spirit boats stopped outside the Wujing mine site in the Black Cloud Mountain range. Huh? Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, and Li Feiyu at this moment all realized something was off. Because at this moment they smelled a thick scent of blood. What's going on? Lu Changxing stepped off the spirit boat, came to the mining site, and immediately noticed corpses everywhere, the ground awash with blood, forming pools of it. These people must not have been dead long. It seems the Zhao family was aware of our arrival and killed all the miners here in advance. Li Feiyu looked at the bodies with a frigid expression on his face. During their conversation, the two entered the mine to check out the situation. Inside they occasionally came across yet more corpses. The entire mine had originally had hundreds of miners. But now all were slaughtered, not a single survivor. The Zhao family is really decisive. In this case, not only were they aware of our arrival, but they must have also sought outside help. Otherwise, this massacre would have been pointless. Li Feiyu looked at the situation before him and said coldly, "While the cultivation world officially values reputation and semblance, in reality, it's strength that does the talking. White Tiger Mountain has only one foundation establishment ancestor. Offending by Lake Mountain is akin to seeking death. This act was intended to seize moral high ground. Only with such a guise would others be willing to offer help. Could it be the Jin family from Jinlong Ridge?" Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows as he spoke. Although Bai Lake Mountain was nominally governed by only 3 foundation establishment cultivators, its reputation far exceeded its power, and no ordinary foundation establishment family would be willing to offend it for the sake of White Tiger Mountain. Very likely. Li Feiyu furrowed his brows. If this matter involved a false core family, it would be troublesome. After all, a false core immortal was indeed an immortal, incomparable to mere foundation establishment cultivators. Is this the Spirit Stone Mine? At this moment Lu Changxing walked to the end of the mine tunnel. He could see the Spirit Stone Mine gleaming before him, already excavated. Huh? He looked at the Spirit Stone Mine before him, his brow slightly furrowed, sensing that something was off. As a second-tier top-level Dragon Seeker, although he had not yet trained in Origin Spirit Divine Perception or Origin Spirit Pupillary Art, his Dragon Seeker's intuition and knowledge told him something was off about this Spirit Stone Mine. How could such a small-scale Spirit Stone Mine have developed deep within this mine? Origin Spirit Pupillary Art. Lu Changxing immediately used his Origin Spirit Pupillary Art, emitting 2 purple rays from his eyes and inspecting the Spirit Stone Mine. What's up with Changxing? Li Feiyu looked at Lu Changxing as he employed the Pupillary Art, staring at the Spirit Stone Mine, slightly stunned. There's something off about this Spirit Stone Mine. Lu Changxing's face showed a moment of deep thought. His Origin Spirit Pupillary Art was still not well developed, and even when using the technique, its power was limited, only allowing him to detect a very pure and rich concentration of spiritual energy. Right, how could I forget this? Lu Changxing slapped his spiritual pet bag, and immediately a large golden mouse appeared. It was the very second-ranking treasure-seeking mouse he had acquired from a robber cultivator when he and Ling Zixiao left Jiuxiao Immortal City. This treasure-seeking mouse was not much use to him, so it had been kept unsupervised in his spiritual pet bag. A treasure-seeking mouse? Li Feiyu saw the golden mouse, instantly surprised. In Qinghuan Immortal City, such treasure-seeking mice were highly sought after. Many loose cultivators wanted one. After all, whether for exploring cave mansion relics or anything else, having such a treasure-seeking mouse made the task much more efficient. Is there any treasure inside? Lu Changxing, holding a beast control token, spoke to the mouse. Since following Lu Changxing, the mouse had been fed sporadically, looking somewhat listless. Now hearing Lu Changxing's words, it immediately started to make an effort, pointing at the area in front of the Spirit Stone Mine, then starting to dig. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 876. Core Formation Relic Attack on White Tiger Mountain. Crack, crack. Lu Changxing and Li Feiyu watched as the Seeking Spirit Mouse in front of them dug into the Spirit Stone Mine. Although the Seeking Spirit Mouse was only the size of a baby with low combat power, its innate bloodline talent made it very efficient at mining stone veins. However, Lu Changxing was currently busy with other matters and naturally would not wait for it to dig slowly. Clang. With a slap on his storage bag, the True Yang 5-element sword immediately appeared as he performed a gesture incantation with both hands. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Instantly the sword light flickered, bursting forth with fierce sword chi, cutting through the vein of spirit stones like tofu and causing the dense and pure spiritual energy to spill out. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Watching the fierce sword chi, the seeking spirit mouse was immediately terrified and looked at Lu Changxing with a shivering face, thinking it had done something wrong. Hiss, Changxing must have broken through to the Foundation establishment mid-stage, right? Seeing this, Li Feiyu's face also showed surprise and disbelief. Not only was he astonished by Lu Changxing's cultivation strength, but he was also amazed at how fierce Lu Changxing's sword chi was, resembling the legendary sword cultivators. After all, in his view, his good brother had nothing to do with the legendary sword cultivators and was more suitable for the path of yin and yang dual cultivation. Changxing, what happened? Just then Lu Miaoge heard the noise inside and hurried over to check. Nothing, this spirit stone mine is a bit strange, there must be some treasure in the depths, I plan to take a look. Lu Changxing explained, Sister Miaoge, just keep watch outside. See ya the novel, F.I.R. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Okay, be careful. Lu Miaoge nodded in response. Seeing so many corpses in the minefield, she felt a bit of sympathy and summoned her life-bound spiritual artifact, Tai Chi Talisman, to create several large pits outside the minefield. Then she let Lu Yun, Lu Chuanjin, Lu Xianji, and others carry these corpses into the pits for burial. Aside from Lu Chuanjin and a few other Lu family disciples, most found it quite unsettling facing so many ferocious and tragic corpses at once. But they all knew that they had to adapt since this was an inevitable path they must traverse upon the start of their cultivation journey. Which direction? Lu Changxing asked the seeking spirit mouse, continuing his inquiry. He could sense something was odd about this spirit stone mine, with possibly some spirit vein treasure hidden in the depths. But he could not fully perceive the origin source or lock onto the specific location. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The seeking spirit mouse quickly pointed in a direction. This way the two men and one mouse began to work. After several hours, the seeking spirit mouse hesitated for a long while in front of a few crevices before diving into one. Seeing this, Lu Changxing and Li Feiyu wielded magical swords and long knives to chisel a path. This process was very draining on mana. If not for Lu Changxing's robust and unending mana, or if Li Feiyu had been doing it alone, it would have been tough to continue. Thus, after a long time they arrived in front of a stone wall. It's inside here. At that moment, Lu Changxing realized that the source was within this stone wall. He slashed fiercely with the true Yang five-element sword in his hand. Boom, 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 the spirit vein shook and countless rocks and dust splattered, striking the mana shields protecting him and Li Feiyu. Suddenly, a natural rock cave over 10 zhang in size appeared in front of them. Though the cave seemed naturally formed, it was apparent that it had been artificially excavated. Luminous pearls that had lost their luster were placed in each corner, and there was a stone table and chairs covered in moss. It looked like a cultivator's cave mansion. At that instant, a rich wave of spiritual energy struck them from within the cave. This spiritual energy, could it be? Lu Changxing gazed at the cave mansion before him, pausing for a moment as he vaguely guessed. Be careful, Changxing. Li Feiyu, realizing that this was a predecessor's cave mansion, immediately warned. He had explored many ancient remains and cave mansions and was well aware that such places didn't always signify good fortune. Many cultivators with corrupt hearts, on the brink of passing away, or those who lost control in their cultivation and fell into demonic ways, would set traps and killing formations in their cave mansions out of a malicious wish that since they could not achieve the great Tao, neither should others who come after. There were even cultivators who purposefully created treasure maps to bait others with the promise of their cave mansion's treasures. Thus, many who explored these relics full of joy ended up meeting tragic fates. Okay. Lu Changxing nodded and said to the seeking spirit mouse, hurry up. He then slapped his storage bag, summoning a puppet, and followed the seeking spirit mouse into the cave. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The seeking spirit mouse was naturally very alert to danger, and after looking around it entered a stone chamber inside the cave. Lu Changxing immediately controlled the puppet to push open the stone door, and a mist-like spiritual energy raged out. The seeking spirit mouse immediately rushed in, followed by sounds of water and its joyful and contented chirping. Is this spiritual energy turned to mist? Li Feiyu had already noticed the excessively rich spiritual energy in the cave. And now inside this stone chamber the spiritual energy was so dense that it had misted, which was astonishing. It seems there is a spiritual eye spring inside. Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed slightly, knowing his guess was correct. Although there was no spirit vein here, there had to be a treasure of the spiritual spring. Only then could the spiritual energy become so dense over the years that it overflowed and formed a miniature spirit stone mine. What, a spiritual eye spring? Changxing, are you saying there's a spiritual eye spring inside? Li Feiyu exclaimed, his face turning white with shock. Though he had never seen a spiritual eye spring, he had heard of its existence. He knew that such treasures were incredibly rare and immeasurable in value. To think that Lu Changxing had found a spiritual eye spring on this venture. Changxing, you really have great fortune to encounter such an opportunity just by stepping out. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 877, Core Formation Relics Attack on White Tiger Mountain. Li Feiyu quickly calmed himself down, his voice tinged with envy as he spoke. His words indicating not only his own envy but also suggesting the ownership of this spiritual eye spring. After all, it was not uncommon in the cultivation world for brothers to turn against each other and friends to become enemies. 99% of these conflicts were over interests. Having such a rare treasure appear before them now, it would certainly be false to claim he wasn't tempted. However, the relationship between the two men as well as the current situation compelled him to make an immediate choice. He indeed lucky. Lu Changxing's face broke into a smile. He hadn't expected that, having just acquired the dragon-seeking technique, he would find such an item using this very skill. The two of them cautiously entered the cave mansion and made their way to a stone chamber. They immediately saw, in the center of the cramped chamber, a mini spring bubbling with water. Right there, the seeking spirit mouse was lying comfortably in the basin-sized spring. Beside the spring, however, half lay a corpse. The corpse was covered with a spiritual light-faded, slightly tattered magical robe. Its chest bones were broken, showing slight discoloration, suggesting it had suffered severe injuries before passing away here. It looks like it's been hundreds of years since the passing. Li Feiyu spoke up. And looking at it, he seems to have been a nascent soul immortal in life. Lu Changxing noticed a dim gray pill at the location of the corpse's dantian. This indicated the individual had been a nascent soul immortal. He didn't approach, but with a sweep of his hand, a gust of wind howled through the chamber, lifting the magical robe of the corpse. He then controlled a puppet to inspect the chamber, making sure there were no traps. Whoosh! A ring, a storage bag and a gray pill flew into Lu Changxing's hands. This immortal must have been severely injured before death. Even the true elixir is fractured. Lu Changxing saw that the gray pill was full of cracks, seemingly ready to break at the slightest force. If the true elixir had been intact, it would be priceless to a foundation establishment cultivator. Judging from the situation in Jiang country's cultivation realm, achieving core formation was incredibly difficult. 90% of foundation establishment cultivators never achieve core formation in their lifetime. But if one was lucky having a third-order demon pill or a nascent soul cultivator's true elixir at the late stage of foundation establishment, or some external treasure, it could be used to condense a false core. Although a false core is incomparable to a true nascent soul cultivator. It grants a lifespan of 300 years and a combat power, status and position far exceeding that of foundation establishment cultivators, enough to be called an immortal. Truly a pity. Li Feiyu took the gray pill from Lu Changxing's hand and examined it, his expression one of regret. Having such an external pill is akin to gaining an opportunity for a false core. A bit poor, huh? Lu Changxing briefly inspected the storage ring and storage bag. Sir the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The storage ring contained no spirit stones, just some random materials and miscellaneous items. But from Lu Changxing's perspective, even the items of value didn't exceed a few 10,000 spirit stones. The storage bag was very simple. Inside were 3 jade slips and a dark black, somewhat damaged halberd. He briefly looked at them. The first 2 jade slips were cultivation techniques, named Blood Shura Technique, and Earth Fiend Holding Heaven Skill. The third jade slip was the last words of the corpse's owner. It stated his name was Jing Jueming, born in the Shura sect of Liang country, and came to the Jiang country cultivation realm due to a sect mission. The details of the mission were not mentioned, just that he had encountered a siege by Qingyun's sect, barely escaping after using all his strength. However, due to severe injuries and the shattering of his true elixir, unable to escape from Qingyun's sect's territory, he hid here, opened this cave mansion hoping to use his sect's secret technique, the Shadow Crimson Technique, to heal by transforming his true elixir's origin source, then condensing the demon pill to bring life from near death. If he failed and died, any person with fate coming after could inherit his mantle, to be his successor. If they later broke through to core formation, they should slay a nascent soul immortal from Qingyun sect to commemorate his spirit in heaven. TSK, this demonic path cultivator was quite a decent person, just a bit fanciful. Lu Changxing looked at the information inside the jade slip and shook his head. He handed the items from the storage bag to Li Feiyu to examine, then turned his gaze back to the spiritual eye spring in front of him. This spiritual eye spring, while nowhere near the one he obtained from the system's lucky draw in terms of size and spiritual energy density, regardless, it was still a spiritual eye spring, far superior to a spiritual origin pearl. If this spiritual eye spring was used to upgrade the Biyun Peak, the spiritual vein of Biyun Peak would likely advance from high-quality second rank to top-grade second rank. Feiyu sharing sees, I do need this spiritual eye spring. Lu Changxing spoke to Li Feiyu, this magical treasure, although somewhat damaged, might still be worth a decent amount of money. You can handle it in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. That halberd was only useful to him for practicing the 100 refinements treasure body art. But since he was taking the spiritual eye spring, it wouldn't be fair not to give him anything, hence he gave the magical treasure to the other. Considering Li Feiyu's status in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he should be able to handle it. Changxing, how can this be? This is your fortune and opportunity. I've done nothing. He'll just copy this earth fiend holding heaven skill, that will suffice. Li Feiyu hurriedly asserted. He had selected a main cultivation technique in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. But the body refining technique he used was still the old, profound body refinement technique. He knew after a brief look that his profound body refinement technique was far inferior to this earth fiend holding heaven skill. No problem, take it. I feel embarrassed taking everything. Lu Changxing spoke. Yet Li Feiyu simply couldn't bring himself to accept the magical treasure. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 878, Core Formation Relics Attack on White Tiger Mountain. Thinking that he hadn't done much and that owning this cultivation technique was enough, he could at most pick a few spiritual materials from the storage ring. Having just returned to Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he could ask someone to craft a couple of suitable magic artifacts for him. Sure. Seeing this, Lu Changxing didn't insist and passed the storage ring to Li Feiyu, keeping the black halberd for himself. Although this was a low-grade magical treasure, due to severe wear and hundreds of years of neglect without an owner's mana nourishing it, its spiritual light was dull and difficult to activate. It could be said that this no longer counted as a treasure, but merely as a rare material to be recast by someone. Changxing, how do you plan to take away the spiritual eye spring? Li Feiyu looked at Lu Changxing and said. Although the spiritual eye spring could be carried with oneself, Sar the novel, F.I.R. at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. To his knowledge, it required the great magical power of a nascent soul immortal to be relocated. Ordinary Foundation establishment cultivators simply couldn't take such a spring with them. Now I manage a family, so I have studied the skills and legacy of dragon seekers, and just so happen to understand some of this technique, Lu Changxing said with a laugh. Had it been before, it indeed would have been difficult for him to take away the spiritual eye spring. But for a second-order dragon seeker it was effortless. Scram. Lu Changxing disdainfully said to the golden mouse in the center of the spiritual spring. Such a clear and clean spring, and you, a mouse soaking in it, what are you thinking? Hearing this, the seeking spirit mouse reluctantly walked out of the spiritual spring and sat down on the side, looking somewhat aggrieved. Feiyu, back off a bit. Lu Changxing said to Li Feiyu. Okay. Li Feiyu quickly nodded and stepped back. But as he saw the corpse next to the spiritual spring, he immediately moved it aside. Then Lu Changxing's hands formed a gesture incantation, and his palms emanated dazzling yellow light, pressing onto the ground. Boom. Spiritual light surged, and the ground around the spring violently shook and cracked. Rise. Lu Changxing uttered softly, and the basin-sized spring suddenly broke through the earth and began to ascend. Once the spiritual eye spring was completely hovering in the air, Lu Changxing cast successive spells, causing the yellow light to envelop and seal the spring. Phew. Lu Changxing stored the spiritual eye spring in his storage ring, his eyes revealing a hint of joy. With this spring, the state of his own spiritual vein, or even Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, could be improved once again. If luck is on my side, finding a few more spiritual eye springs, or even top-grade ones, Upgrading to a third-order spirit vein will be a breeze, Lu Changxing couldn't help fantasizing. Tiske Changxing, you really are skillful, Li Feiyu said, watching the scene before him in admiration. He had learned some details about Lu Changxing during this time. He knew that his friend was a second-tier top-level talisman master, and a second-order inferior alchemist. Now seeing him also skilled in dragon-seeking techniques, he didn't even know what to say. He thought to himself that his good brother, despite a subpar spiritual root, had deep fortune and incredible comprehension. Even if he were to become a loose cultivator, he would fare exceedingly well. Afterward, he placed the corpse back into the deep pit of the spiritual spring. Predecessor, we want to inherit your legacy. These treasures, not brought in life, not taken in death, it's truly a pity to bury them with you. Today, as we lay you to rest, let these treasures serve as our compensation for burying your bones and erecting this monument. Li Feiyu said solemnly. He then buried the corpse and used his long sword to split a stone into a stele, carving the words Tomb of Jing Jueming onto it. Lu Changxing, seeing this, also stepped forward to bow his respects. After all, since he had benefited, it was only appropriate to give thanks. Everyone says how wonderful cultivation is, but who has seen corpses buried in the wilderness? A nascent soul immortal ending up in such a state, Li Feiyu said, filled with emotion. He had seen very few core formation individuals up to this point in his cultivation journey. This was the first time he had seen the remains of a nascent soul immortal, stirring deep emotions in his heart. That's why we should cherish the present, Lu Changxing said with a smile. I just can't stay idle, Li Feiyu replied with a wry smile, shaking his head. Besides, it's hard to give up when you're not content. This place still needs to be dealt with. Lu Changxing looked at the situation before him and furrowed his brow. Having made a path here, others could follow it if they came. After thinking for a moment, he put the seeking spirit mouse into his spiritual pet bag, cast an iron wall talisman to solidify the room into an iron barrier, then he and Li Feiyu left the cavern and attacked the cave with the giant sword technique. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the cave collapsed and was concealed, with both men transforming into escape light and swiftly leaving. Changxing, father, Uncle Li. As the two men left the mine, Lu Miaoge and Lu Chuanjin among others were still waiting outside. We inspected the situation inside, which caused some delay, but now we will head straight to White Tiger Mountain, Lu Changxing told his wife and children. Naturally, the children and others had no objections to this. Immediately, everyone boarded the spirit boat and set off directly for White Tiger Mountain. Sister Miaoge, we really had great luck this time. I found a spiritual spring inside. Lu Changxing shared his joy with Lu Miaoge through a secret message on the spirit boat. What? A spiritual spring? Lu Miaoge was even more surprised and delighted than Lu Changxing upon hearing this. That's right, although this spring is not as good as the one we obtained at home, it's still quite remarkable. And inside there was also the corpse of a nascent soul immortal, but this immortal was a demonic path cultivator who has been dead for several hundred to 1,000 years. And since he died after suffering serious injuries, he didn't have any precious treasures with him. If you find any errors, ads pop up. Ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 879. Core Formation Relics Attack on White Tiger Mountain. _4 Lu Changxing continued. This is already quite good. Not only is there a spirit stone mine, but also such a harvest. Changxing, your fortune can be said to be incredibly profound. Lu Miaoge said softly, her heart couldn't help but feel astonished and surprised. Her own husband truly was a favored person of the heavens. No wonder he possessed so many heavenly and earthly treasures, rare cultivation techniques, and spiritual pets. Such luck, it's like just stepping outside could lead to opportunities. Probably starting from the early years when he found the 9 Netherhound, every time he went out there were chances for remarkable encounters. White Tiger Mountain Zhao family. At this moment, the Zhao family's great formation was fully activated, slowly revolving. All the family disciples were on high alert, with the posture of facing a formidable enemy. Although the Zhao family ancestor had invited someone from the Jinlong Ridge Jin family to act as a mediator and judge, such matters in any case could enhance the cohesion of the family through this method. Why hasn't Lu Changxing arrived yet? Wasn't the message sent that Lu Changxing was heading towards our White Tiger Mountain? The Zhao family patriarch looked at the external situation, his eyebrows deeply furrowed, pacing back and forth with an anxious expression. He was not actually looking forward to Lu Changxing's quick arrival. Instead, having received the message that the opponent was coming to attack his family, and yet not arriving for a long time, his heart kept hanging, up and down. Sia the Novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After all, with the reputation of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family known far and wide, even though the ancestor had requested the Jinlong Ridge's intervention, he was still worried. Ah, they've come. Just then the Zhao family patriarch saw two small spirit boats in the distance flying towards them, growing larger and larger as they approached. He immediately said to the Zhao family disciples who were on full alert, "Everyone get ready." He then signaled to his own ancestor to indicate that Lu Changxing had come. "Is this White Tiger Mountain?" Lu Changxing, aboard the spirit boat, looked at White Tiger Mountain. The entire valley was enshrouded in a pale golden formation, making it impossible to see inside. But from a bird's-eye view, it somewhat resembled a crouching fierce tiger. As far as Lu Changxing knew, White Tiger Mountain had abundant mine resources. In the early years, the Zhao family relied on the mineral resources of White Tiger Mountain and their artifact refining skills, reaching their peak period with as many as 5 foundation establishment cultivators, and once controlling 2 marketplaces. But due to various reasons they did not progress further and began to decline. And because the mineral resources were non-renewable, over-extraction led to a decline in family profits, and the family situation grew worse and worse. In recent decades they still possessed 2 foundation-building great cultivators. But after the battle at Blackwater Pool, the Zhao family lost a foundation establishment ancestor, leaving only 1 foundation establishment cultivator, which could be said to be in the worst situation. But the spirit vein of White Tiger Mountain's Zhao family will definitely not be bad. Even if it's not second-order superior, it still belongs to the second-grade medium-quality top tier, and won't be worse than the initial Blue Lake Mountain. Lu Changxing thought inwardly. Right now, he did not have any plans to establish a branch family on White Tiger Mountain. He planned to wait until his children made a breakthrough in foundation establishment before considering arrangements for White Tiger Mountain. But having acquired the dragon-seeking skill, he indeed wanted to try and intercept a spiritual vein origin from White Tiger Mountain. It wasn't long. The 2 spirit boats stopped at the mountain gate of White Tiger Mountain, suspended in the air. Lu Changxing, in a green long robe, stepped off the spirit boat, stood on thin air, and a white magical sword appeared in his hand, striking at the pale golden great formation above White Tiger Mountain. Boom! The formation on White Tiger Mountain immediately surged with flashing spiritual light, with streaks of golden radiance flowing within, where faintly, a fierce tiger could be seen ferociously roaring. Second-order superior, fierce tiger encircling mountain great formation. Lu Mountain Lord, for you to transgress upon our Zhao family like this is simply too outrageous. Do you really think our White Tiger Mountain is weak and can be bullied? The Zhao family patriarch, in a purple brocade robe, rose up within the great formation, his arm sleeves tightly clenched, his expression both shocked and angry, and he shouted loudly. He did not expect Lu Changxing to be so arrogant. To actually take action against their family great formation without a word. Simply not placing them, White Tiger Mountain, in his eyes. Too outrageous? Your White Tiger Mountain covets my Lu family mine veins and even conspired against Lu someone's daughter in secret, and you still have the face to speak of being too outrageous? If you're sensible, open the formation yourself, apologize and make amends. Lu someone might still spare your Zhao family once, otherwise today will be the day your White Tiger Mountain falls. Lu Changxing sneered coldly, said with an indifferent expression, and his hands did not stop moving, bombarding the White Tiger Mountain formation. Li Feiyu and the Lu family disciples, seeing this, also one after another brought out their magic artifacts to bombard White Tiger Mountain. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant the White Tiger Mountain great formation spiritual light surged, flickering on and off. Lu Changxing, don't fabricate lies to use as an excuse to forcibly take over my White Tiger Mountain. Just at this moment, a voice full of stamina and slightly aged rang out. A streak of escape light flew in from the depths. His hair grayed, his figure tall, in a purple magical robe, emanating an imposing aura, it was the Zhao family ancestor. However, seeing Lu Miaoga there as well, his pupils couldn't help but contract. Although many of them believed that the battle at Red Leaf Valley had been greatly exaggerated, but through some exposed memory stones, the records of the night's events, both of them indeed had the astonishing achievement of slaying several foundation-building great cultivators. Fabricate lies? Upon seeing the scene at the mine, Lu Changxing guessed that the other party would not admit it. He sneered and said, "As to how things really are, your Zhao family knows very well. Actions speak louder than words. Lu someone is too lazy to argue with you about it." Even if the Supreme Sect inquires, Lu someone will be justified and without a guilty conscience. If you now open your formation and offer White Tiger Mountain an apology, Lu someone might still spare you. If you stubbornly resist and insist on being an enemy of my Blue Lake Mountain, then Lu someone won't be polite. Lu Changxing spoke, and with a pat of his storage bag, a fist-sized black bead appeared. This bead, known as the Forbidden Breaking Bead, was obtained by Ling Zixiao from Xiahou Money, with the effect of breaking formations and prohibitions. Then, from his sleeve, string after string of talismans flowed out, suspending around him. Lu Changxing, how arrogant you are! Seeing these talismans, the Zhao family ancestor's face showed both fear and anger, wishing he could immediately activate the formation and engage with Lu Changxing. Ha, Lu Mountain Lord, quite a temper you have, quite domineering indeed. Just then, another unhurried voice sounded. A middle-aged man around 40 with a square face, thick dark hair and beard, stern in appearance, dressed in a gold dragon-patterned magical robe, walked out with his hands behind his back, looking at Lu Changxing and spoke indifferently. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 880, Husband and Wife Join Forces, Problem Solved. 8K Big Chapter. Upon seeing the golden-robed man, Li Feiyu, Lu Yun, Lu Chuanjin, and others all showed solemn expressions on their faces. At the Wu Jing mine site, upon encountering countless corpses, they had guessed that the Zhao family would seek outside intervention. And that power was likely to be Golden Dragon Ridge, adjacent to White Tiger Mountain. Although they did not recognize the golden-robed man, S.E.A. the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Through the current situation and his attire, they faintly guessed his identity. Who might you be? Lu Changxing looked at the golden-robed man who had appeared, his expression calm and indifferent. Having guessed that Golden Dragon Ridge might intervene, he had dared to come here. Naturally, he had strategies to cope. Otherwise, upon hearing a mere name, would he have to take his wife, friends, and children and slink away, abandoning his dignity as Lu ancestor? Golden Dragon Ridge Great Elder Jin Zan. The golden-robed man looked at Lu Changxing, his expression haughty as he declared his identity. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron New 0. 0 as expected. Li Feiyu and the Lu family disciples all felt a sinking feeling in their hearts upon hearing this. Do you of the Jin family truly intend to meddle in the matters between Bai Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain? Lu Changxing's expression remained unchanged, his voice indifferent. This elder has heard that near your Bai Lake Mountain's mine, within the Black Cloud Mountain range, a spirit stone mine was discovered. We originally wished to cooperate with Bai Lake Mountain in mining. But your Lu family, in order to monopolize this mine, has committed murder. Now, you even use this as an excuse to attack White Tiger Mountain. Our Jin family has been on good terms with White Tiger Mountain for generations, and this elder cannot idly watch such matters unfold. Jin Zan, clad in a golden robe, stood with his hands behind his back, his voice steady yet condescending, coming from a family with a legacy nearly 1,000 years old and a false core immortal patriarch. He naturally looked down on upstart families like Lu Changxing's, which had been established for just over a decade without any profound heritage. Even though Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge were well known, he still viewed them with some disdain. As these words were spoken, whether Zhao family disciples or Lu family disciples, all showed angry expressions and glared at each other. Clearly, both sides believed the other had committed unforgivable and utterly despicable acts. Whether this matter is right or wrong will be judged by the Supreme Sect. Have you at Golden Dragon Ridge really decided to interfere in the feud between Bai Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain? Lu Changxing's tone was calm, scoffing as he spoke. If that is the case, then let Lu someone experience your extraordinary skills. His scoff was filled with indescribable contempt. He has always disliked wasting words with others. The attitudes of the Zhao and Jin families left no room for discussion, a complete waste of time. In that case, it was better to meet action with action. Li Feiyu appeared shocked. He hadn't expected Lu Changxing to confront Golden Dragon Ridge head-on. Changxing always acts with caution and never does anything uncertain. He must have foreseen Golden Dragon Ridge's possible intervention and is confident in his actions. Li Feiyu thought to himself, choosing to trust his close friend. Holding the black gold long blade, mana surged within his body. With a step forward, his black brocade robe fluttered soundlessly, exuding an aura of solemn killing intent. Lu Miaoge, looking as pure as snow, stood quietly beside Lu Changxing, her expression as calm as still water. After so many years as husband and wife, she trusted Lu Changxing unconditionally. Whatever Lu Changxing did, she would choose to support and trust him. Seeing this, the Zhao family ancestor was overjoyed internally. He thought Lu Changxing had really become arrogant, not knowing his own abilities, or perhaps greed had clouded his judgment, chasing minor benefits at the cost of his life. To dare speak in such a manner to Jin Zan. After all, this Jin Zan was the highest cultivation strength in the Jin family, aside from the false core patriarch, with a 9th-level foundation establishment cultivation strength. For Lu Changxing to offend him like this was simply courting death. Very well, such arrogance, Lu Changxing. Jin Zan was astounded, then immediately became furiously enraged, his voice cold. He had thought that upon his arrival, after announcing his identity and name, Lu Changxing would know difficulties and retreat ignominiously. Yet, not only did Lu Changxing not choose to withdraw, but he also showed no respect at all. This was not only a slap to his face, it was also disregarding his Golden Dragon Ridge Jin family completely. I have heard that you, the Lu couple, cultivate the dual cultivation technique, and together your combat power is comparable to the peak of foundation establishment. Today this elder will personally test your reputed skills to see if your arrogance is justified. Jin Zan stepped out of the White Tiger Mountain array, his voice icy as he called out, revealing the spiritual pressure and mana of 9th-level foundation establishment. Though he had heard of the reputations and battle victories of Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, he did not quite believe it. After all, 2 early-stage foundation establishment cultivators eliminating many foundation establishment opponents, including 2 at the late stage in a short time, that sounded like a joke. He thought it more plausible that, working together, they could perhaps manage to kill a couple of opponents if they exhausted all their strength. Especially since the memory stones that had leaked from the Red Leaf Valley market that night showed vague battle conditions, providing only a rough idea. This further convinced him that Lu Changxing was using such means to enhance his family's prestige for opportunistic expansion. Shoo! A silver gleam shot from Jin Zan's eyes. In that instant, Lu Changxing realized it was some kind of divine sense attack secret technique. His divine sense had already surpassed the peak of foundation establishment, striving toward core formation, making such attacks completely ineffective against him. Divine sense attack, I can do that too. Lu Changxing snorted lightly, and a divine sense attack soul dispersion needle formed in his mind and shot out invisibly. Umph. Jin Zan grunted, his brow furrowing tightly, his face showing disbelief. He had never expected that his divine sense attack would not only have no effect on Lu Changxing but that he himself would almost suffer a loss. Huh? The surrounding crowd, witnessing this scene, all showed expressions of shock. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 881. Husband and wife join forces, problem solved. 8K Big Chapter. Although they couldn't perceive the invisible clash of spiritual consciousness, it was clear that Jin Zan had just been at a disadvantage. Elder Jin, if that's all the strength you have, there's still time to retreat, Lu Changxing said calmly, clad in a green robe, looking ethereal and handsome. Humph, it seems I've underestimated Lu Mountain Lord. It's to be expected. After all, Lu Changxing is renowned for his talisman formation art and naturally has extraordinary divine sense, Jin Zan said, his expression dark and unpleasant, realizing he had underestimated his opponent and had hoped to catch him off guard with his divine sense. Seeing this, the Zhao family patriarch didn't hesitate and immediately charged out of the great formation to join Jin Zan. At this point, with both sides confronting each other, he naturally couldn't just watch Jin Zan face 3 foundation establishment cultivators alone. Roar! At the same time, a tiger's roar echoed from the depths of White Tiger Mountain. A white-browed tiger, nearly 10 feet tall, appeared, walking on clouds and enveloped in rolling demon chi. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the tiger's fur was sparse and gray-white, its body slightly emaciated, showing signs of old age. This was none other than the clan guardian spirit beast of White Tiger Mountain, the high-rank Howling Cloud Tiger. Originally, Lu Changxing's side had 3 foundation-building great cultivators. But now, the Zhao family also had 2 foundation-building great cultivators and a second-order spiritual beast. Moreover, this place was the spirit land of the Zhao family, protected by the fierce tiger encircling mountain great formation. This formation was a second-order top-quality array, which even an energy-refining cultivator could control to threaten foundation establishment cultivators. Lu Yun saw that the situation was not good, his expression a bit panicked, and he quickly opened his spiritual pet bag. Aowa! The Nine Netherhound appeared instantly, with its blood-red intimidating eyes sweeping over everyone. It let out a low growl, its head looking fierce and terrifying, exuding an aura of savage evil. Ah! A second-order spiritual beast? Jin Zan and the Zhao family patriarch were taken aback upon seeing the Nine Netherhound. They hadn't expected that the small by Lake Mountain would have a second-order spiritual beast. And this beast's appearance and aura seemed far superior to the Zhao family's Howling Cloud Tiger. Is this Xiao He? Li Feiyu was surprised to see the Nine Netherhound. He not only recognized the Nine Netherhound but also knew that this spiritual pet was picked up by Lu Changxing 3 years ago during their arrangement. But now, in such a short time, this spiritual pet had actually advanced to the second rank? It should be noted that normal demon beasts would need at least 50 to 60 years, or even a century, to have a chance at advancing to the second rank. And after hunting demon beasts for many years, he could tell at a glance that the Nine Netherhound was not simple. It was at least of Earth-grade bloodline, or even some kind of mutated bloodline. Changsheng's good fortune. Li Feiyu was at a loss for what to say internally, feeling a surge of envy. Humph, just a second-rank early-stage demon beast, Jin Zan said coldly and dismissively. However, the Zhao family patriarch and several Zhao family cultivators noticed their clan guardian spirit beast, the Howling Cloud Tiger, revealing a hint of fear in its somewhat cloudy tiger eyes when facing the Nine Netherhound. Gold Dragon Hand. Jin Zan snorted coldly, slapping his storage bag from which a golden claw, shining like a golden dragon claw, flew out. This claw burst forth with a force capable of piercing gold and stone, tearing through the air and lancing toward Lu Changxing. Tai Chi Talisman. Lu Changxing held Lu Miage's fair and delicate hand, their fingers interlocked, and he whispered to her. He had previously made it known that the two practiced dual cultivation technique, so now was the time for the couple to join forces and validate that claim. This was also why he came with Lu Miaoge rather than Ling Zixiao. VVVV. In an instant, both of their mana flowed together, merging their energies. The Tai Chi Talisman in Lu Miage's hand flew out, hovering in the air, emitting radiant seven-colored halos before transforming into a small sword swirling with colors. The Water of Virtue technique included 2 life-bound spiritual artifacts, one for attack and the other for defense. The attacking spiritual artifact, the Tai Chi Talisman, could transform into myriad types of artifacts for fending off enemies. Lu Changxing had planted the Tai Dao seed in Lu Miaoge, giving them a shared source of mana, allowing them to command the artifact. Clang! The Tai Chi Talisman sword collided with the golden claw, causing a sound of clashing metal and sparks to fly as the two forces of mana rubbed and collided. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What a couple from by Lake Mountain's Lu clan, they really have some skills, said Jin Zan, his face changing slightly before a cold smile appeared, and he continued, but if you think you can match a Foundation establishment peak with just this, you're sorely mistaken. Gold Dragon Square Halberd. He gestured an incantation with both hands and slapped his dantian, as if a dragon's roar emanated from within him. A halberd-like spiritual artifact burst forth from his body, enveloped in layers of golden light, like a roaring flood dragon, radiating strong waves of mana. Roar! Above the gold dragon square halberd, ancient patterns flowed, and a shadowy flood dragon emerged, its claws and teeth ready to strike. Faced with this attack, Lu Miaoge immediately brandished her water dew, placing it above her head to create a series of azure water screens. Wind-fire formation. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly, making a gesture incantation with one hand and flicking his sleeve. The talisman that hovered behind him shot out along with the 99 mystic true signs, forming a talisman formation that trapped the gold dragon square halberd. Tai Chi sword kill. Lu Changxing, feigning control over the Tai Chi talisman, shouted out commandingly. Although the Tai Chi talisman was only a low-quality spiritual artifact at that moment, it was ferocious, exuding an overbearing and astounding magic aura, repelling the gold dragon hand and slashing straight at Jin Zan. This isn't good. Upon seeing this, Jin Zan's expression dramatically changed, and he hurriedly maneuvered his gold dragon hand to intercept the seven-colored sword. Clang! The gold dragon hand, confronting the Tai Chi talisman, began to falter, its golden luster dimming and the spiritual artifact seeming to cry out in distress. Watching this scene, everyone present was shocked and stunned. Nobody had expected that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge joining forces would be so formidable. In just a few exchanges, they had put Elder Gene from the Gene family at a disadvantage. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 882, Husband and Wife Join Forces, Problem Solved. 8K Big Chapter. No wonder Changxing is so confident. It turns out that when he and Miss Lu combine their strength, their combat power is like that of someone at the peak of Foundation establishment. Li Feiyu muttered to himself, astonished by his good brother's strength. He had thought that after his breakthrough to Foundation establishment he could barely catch up with Lu Changxing, but now he realized the gap between their powers was so large. Yes, the fact that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge joined forces to kill the robber cultivator happened 10 years ago. Now that 10 years have passed, Lu Changxing's cultivation level has broken through to the middle stage of Foundation establishment, and Lu Miaoge has also increased her strength. Together they are far beyond ordinary Foundation establishment cultivators. I'm afraid only the false core patriarch could suppress them. At this moment, the Zhao family ancestor felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, sweating profusely, terrified and regretful. He knew that now was not the time for regret. The only thing to do was to rely on Jin Zan still being there, to make a quick decision. Lu Changxing must be distracted at this moment. If I take the chance to kill him, there is still a chance. The Zhao family ancestor's expression turned fierce, and he shouted loudly to his family, "Operate the Great Formation at full strength and kill Lu Changxing." During his words he immediately brought out a resplendent purple-gold armor and holding a long sword, charged towards Lu Changxing. "Your opponent is me." Li Feiyu looked at the Zhao family ancestor, his expression cold and uncompromising as he stepped up to meet him. Even if his opponent's cultivation level was higher than his, Li Feiyu, had come through many battles and had never encountered a scene he had not seen, having even killed someone at the late stage of energy refinement when he was at the middle stage. All remain calm, offer the talismans to resist the Great Formation. Lu Chuanzhen looked at the situation unfolding before him, his expression serious, as he immediately released the aura of the 9th level of energy refinement. See Chavel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In the midst of speaking he slapped his storage bag and brought out the second-rank puppet that Lu Changxing had given him, calling out to his fellow brothers and sisters. These Lu family disciples had never experienced such a battlefield, and for a moment some were panicked. But upon hearing Lu Quanzhen's words, they quickly calmed down and one after another took out talismans from their storage bags. "Xiaohei, that guy is up to you." Lu Chuanzhen looked at the 9 Netherhound and immediately pointed at the howling cloud tiger that was roaring out, saying quickly, "Roar." The 9 Netherhound roared at the howling cloud tiger, causing a look of fear to flicker in the tiger's turbid eyes. This howling cloud tiger was a demon beast at the middle stage of the 2nd rank. However, the suppression of bloodlines among demon beasts was very serious. Not to mention that it was getting old and was not at its peak strength. Even if it were at its peak, facing the 9 Netherhound, it would be suppressed by bloodline alone, weakening its momentum by a third and unable to exert its full strength. Not bad. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, looking at the performance of his children. Although their display was not particularly good, it was not utterly unsightly either. Especially his son, Lu Chuanzhen, whom he had always been very satisfied with. "Kill." He looked towards Jin Zan and coldly shouted a command. The wobbling golden dragon hand, under the pressure of the Tai Chi talisman, finally let out a burdened wail and began to crack. How is this possible? Jin Zan watched Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, who looked like a couple of gods, his face extremely ugly. For the first time he felt the enemy was so troublesome. He wanted to retract his life-bound spiritual artifact to go on the offensive for defense. But at this moment the golden dragon halberd was trapped by Lu Changxing's talisman formation, constantly bombarded, draining his mana. PFF. The Tai Chi talisman sword burst forth with a dazzling array of 7 colors, extremely brilliant, and continued to slash towards Jin Zan. Damn it, how can there be such a dual cultivation technique that allows a middle-stage foundation establishment and an early-stage foundation establishment to have such strength? Jin Zan hurriedly brought out a white light pearl, forming a thick protective barrier around himself. Then with both hands forming a gesture incantation, he fully activated his life-bound spiritual artifact, the golden dragon halberd, trying to go on the offensive for defense to break the talisman formation and strike at Lu Changxing. However, in just a moment he was filled with dread. Boom boom boom. Under the assault of the Tai Chi talisman sword, his protective barrier cracked in a short while and began to widen at a visible rate. He quickly tried to stabilize the protective spirit pearl in front of him. Umph. Lu Changxing, seeing this, let out a cold snort. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the talisman formation trapping the golden dragon halberd exploded on his command. He hadn't used many talismans this time. Most of them were first-grade talismans, with only a small portion being second-grade talismans. Yet the fusion and explosion of so many talismans were still extremely powerful, causing everyone present to tremble with fear. Jin Zan's life-bound spiritual artifact cried out in the explosion of the talisman formation, a crack appearing on its surface. PFF. Jin Zan, who had been managing to hold on, suddenly turned pale the moment his life-bound spiritual artifact was damaged, spitting out a mouthful of essence blood, and seemed to age considerably. Stop, Lu Mountain Lord, I, the Elder, admit defeat. Jin Zan's voice trembled with fear as he spoke. He dared not continue fighting, knowing that if he did he would likely end his life there. Lu Changxing looked at Jin Zan before him and after a moment, coldly spat out a single word, scram. Jin Zan was the great elder of the Jinlong Ridge Jin family. He wasn't ready to completely fall out with the Jin family just yet. Jin Zan's face was ashen, wanting to say something but not daring to speak. Finally, glancing at his life-bound spiritual artifact, he gritted his teeth, turned into a streak of light and fled in disarray. What? The Zhao family ancestor and the people of the Zhao family saw this scene, all shocked and appalled, despair evident in their eyes. They had never imagined that the Jinlong Ridge Jin family's great elder would be defeated so quickly by Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, forced to escape in such a sorry state. It was too unexpected, utterly inconceivable. Lu Mountain Lord. The Zhao family ancestor was fighting Li Feiyu, currently gaining the upper hand, driving Li Feiyu to retreat. But at this moment he instantly lost his will to fight, wanting to surrender and apologize. However, before he could finish speaking, Lu Changxing had already sent the Tai Chi talisman sword slashing towards him. PFF. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 883. Husband and wife join forces, problem solved. 8K big chapter. _4 Sarch * the novel, IR. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The 7-colored glow burst forth, instantly shattering the Zhao family ancestor's battle armor's defense, decapitating his head, which was filled with terror. Ancestor. Inside White Tiger Mountain, members of the Zhao family who were managing the formation, witnessed this scene and all screamed in shock and fear. At that moment, some cried out loud, some screamed in terror, some showed faces of regret, and some even knelt down pleading for mercy. They all knew that their family was finished, White Tiger Mountain was finished. Roar. Beside them, Lu Chuanjin commanded a second-rank puppet and the 9 Netherhound battling the Howling Cloud Tiger, causing the tiger to scream in anguish. Pfft. Lu Changxing, seeing this, showed no mercy and used the Tai Chi talisman to slay the aged Howling Cloud Tiger with a sword stroke. He looked toward White Tiger Mountain and said indifferently, "Are you not going to open the formation quickly?" Boom. Moments later, the power of the fierce tiger encircling Mountain Great Formation slowly dissipated, and the mountain gate opened. Lu Changxing retrieved Jin Zan's life-bound spiritual artifact. Holding Lu Miaoge's hand, they descended from the air like a celestial couple, arriving at the gate. At this time, all cultivators of the Zhao family had knelt down. Yet, a few still refused to submit, severing their heart veins and killing themselves. The leading Zhao family patriarch looked at the celestial couple before him, fear evident in his eyes, and said, "Zhao family patriarch Zhao Mingwei greets Lu Mountain Lord, Lu Ancestor. Please spare our Zhao family, Lu Mountain Lord, Lu Ancestor. I am willing to dissolve the Zhao family and give White Tiger Mountain and all our properties to Blue Lake Mountain as compensation. Our Zhao descendants are adept in vein exploration, purification, and artifact forging. If Lu Mountain Lord requires, we are at your disposal without any second thoughts." The Zhao family patriarch and several family elders immediately said with sobbing faces. Faced with this situation, even though they felt immense anger, they could not muster any will to resist. They could only plead for mercy, begging Lu Changxing to spare their lives and preserve their family lineage. "Ha! Did you really think I came here to forcibly take over your Zhao family's spirit land and properties? You Zhao family plotted against my daughter, coveted the mines of my Blue Lake Mountain, and even called on Golden Dragon Ridge, seeking to use power to overwhelm and frame us. It is due to these actions that I intervened, Lu Changxing snorted. While he did have his eyes on White Tiger Mountain, the pretext was still avenging his daughter. Absolutely, absolutely, I spoke out of turn. The Zhao family patriarch quickly nodded in agreement, slapping himself, utterly servile. Since you truly and sincerely seek to offer reparations and apologize, I naturally want slaughter all of you. Lu Changxing's expression softened slightly. Thank you, Lu Mountain Lord, thank you. Hearing this, the Zhao members showed mixed expressions of grief and joy, promptly voicing their thanks. However, there were still many Zhao descendants who kept their heads down, clenching their fists, daring to be angry but not speaking out. After all, such an act was utterly disgraceful. Which Zhao family elders and descendants plotted against my daughter Rui? Lu Changxing surveyed the Zhao members and spoke. After a short while, 3 bodies were dragged over. These 3 knew that others might live, but they had no chance of survival. Better to end their lives by suicide than to later beg for life without being able to die. Lu Rui stepped forward, glanced at them to confirm they were the ones who had captured her, nodded in acknowledgement, her heart filled with myriad emotions. Since the primary culprits are eliminated and the grudge is resolved, let us put this matter to rest for now. Lu Changxing, seeing this, spoke in a calm and mild tone. Now that your Zhao family no longer has Foundation establishment cultivators to guard, it's hard to defend White Tiger Mountain. Does the Zhao patriarch have any plans? The Zhao family patriarch, hearing this, appeared stunned. Then, with a face full of sorrow and tears, he displayed a respectful and flattering demeanor. The Zhao family is willing to be a vassal to Blue Lake Mountain, completely at the disposal of the ancestor. Lu Changxing nodded. He indeed didn't have the intention to annihilate them completely. On one hand, ending this small matter with full slaughter wouldn't look good on the surface, and rumors would sound unpleasant, deterring and displeasing surrounding families. On the other hand, his family currently couldn't spare manpower to oversee White Tiger Mountain. The Zhao family lacked Foundation establishment cultivators now, but they could still serve as guards. Besides, with so many spiritual root cultivators in the Zhao family, it would be a pity and a waste to just kill them all. They would indeed be useful whether sent to mine, refine artifacts, or other tasks. Father. At this moment, Lu Chuanjin transmitted a message to Lu Changxing. Ichem? What is it? Lu Changxing looked at his son. The child has some thoughts. Lu Chuanjin immediately aired some of his ideas and suggestions for the Zhao family arrangements. Okay. Lu Changxing briefly pondered, replying with one word. Others at the scene saw Lu Changxing not speaking, unknowing of what he was considering, but no one dared to inquire further. Zhao Patriarch, since your Zhao family is willing to become vassals to my family, we are all one family now. This significant matter still requires Uncle to notify any Zhao cultivators outside to come back, so we can all get acquainted. By the way, from now on, the matters of White Tiger Mountain will be under my management. My name is Lu Chuanjin and Uncle Zhao can just call me Chuanjin. Lu Chuanjin stepped forward, his clean-cut cheeks showing a smile, his eyes narrow, and he bowed. To ensure better future relations between our families without conflicts, if there are people in your family who do not wish to stay on White Tiger Mountain and want to leave, my Lu family will not insist nor proceed with total annihilation. Just swear an oath of the Tao Heart that you will not use the Zhao name of White Tiger Mountain to harbor ill intentions against my Blue Lake Mountain Lu family in the future, and I will let you leave now. Whether you become loose cultivators or rebuild a family, my Lu family will not interfere. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 884. Husband and wife join forces, problem solved. 8K Big Chapter. _5 Lu Chuanjin looked at the Zhao family members and spoke in a gentle voice. Upon hearing his words, the cultivators from the Zhao family were all stunned, their expressions filled with disbelief. But they all lowered their heads, not daring to make a sound or move. After a moment, only one Zhao family disciple strode forward, his face filled with anger as he approached Lu Chuanjin. Only one person? Lu Quanzhen's expression was unchanged, a faint smile on his face. Since it's only one person, fellow Taoist brother, please. Lu Chuanjin made a welcoming gesture and walked out of the gates of White Tiger Mountain with this person. Seeing this scene, several Zhao family disciples, and even a Zhao family elder stepped forward, indicating their desire to leave. Of course you may. Upon seeing this, Lu Quanzhen's face maintained its smile, his tone calm. However, a few Lu family disciples looked somewhat puzzled, unable to understand why Lu Chuanzhen was doing something as risky as releasing the tiger back to the mountain. Although these Zhao family disciples could hardly be considered tigers. But if they were left to wander outside, it would pose an added danger to Bai Lake Mountain. Yuner, you and the Zhao family patriarch should tally up the current situation of White Tiger Mountain. Lu Changxing called out to his son Lu Yun. Yes, father. Lu Yun immediately nodded and stepped forward to confirm the number of family members, property and resources with the Zhao family patriarch. Changxing, although you let Jin Zan go this time, the conflict has been established and Golden Dragon Ridge is unlikely to let it go. At this moment, Li Feiyu looked at Lu Changxing and spoke in a low voice. He, don't worry unless the false core patriarch of Golden Dragon Ridge personally takes action, the Jin family can't do anything to me. And besides, this time I merely took over White Tiger Mountain and did not have direct conflict with their Golden Dragon Ridge, so that ancestor from Jin probably won't start a war over this trivial matter and trouble me. Lu Changxing said with a smile. Even if that ancestor of Jin family were to actually come looking for trouble, he was not the least bit afraid. However, these words he naturally would not say to Li Feiyu. He continued, moreover, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. There are quite a few families in this area who are eyeing the Jin family. These family forces may not want to see my Bai Lake Mountain rise, but they would like even less to see Golden Dragon Ridge rise. I reckon it won't be long before many families come to Bai Lake Mountain to discuss forming an alliance, hoping we confront Golden Dragon Ridge directly. Lu Changxing said in an unhurried voice. But having been a mountain master for over a decade, he understood these principles well. Golden Dragon Ridge's domineering behavior and their family currently being on the rise means that the surrounding families probably both fear and dread the Jin family, not wanting them to continue to develop. Like the earlier Jin Zan, although his combat power is average, far inferior to that robber cultivator from the Red Leaf Valley market. But with 9th layer foundation establishment and not being particularly old, not to mention condensing a true elixir which is a remote possibility. But if he had sufficient resources, there was still hope to condense a false core. Once a false core is formed, it's something nobody wants to see. However, he had just been seriously injured by Lu Changxing, damaging his life-bound spiritual artifact, injuring his origin source. It would probably take several years, even over a decade, to recover. Okay, as long as you're aware. Li Feiyu heard this and nodded, knowing these things were more clear to Lu Changxing than himself. Feiyu, this man's armor and spiritual artifacts are quite good, they should suit you well. Lu Changxing pointed to the Zhao family ancestor's spiritual artifact and spoke. Sir, the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This Zhao family, deserving of their nearly 1,000-year heritage, indeed had quite a foundation. Like these two spiritual artifacts, they were obviously not ordinary assembly line products, belonging to the top grade among spiritual artifacts. Just right, as Li Feiyu had previously mentioned wanting to forge an armor spiritual artifact, and here it was served up to him. Don't refuse, I've gained so much from White Tiger Mountain, it's only right for you to take these and later on, see if there's anything else useful. Lu Changxing straightforwardly said, raising his hand. He was always generous towards people close to him. Li Feiyu sincerely treated him well, so he would help as much as he could. Alright, since that's the case, then I won't be polite. Hearing this, Li Feiyu didn't refuse anymore and laughed heartily. Changxing, what was Chuanzhen doing just now? At this moment, Lu Miaoge asked softly, unaware of Lu Quanzhen's earlier intentions. She wasn't particularly surprised or shocked by Lu Changxing's display of cultivation and magical power. After all, having been together for so many years, she knew many things. Now, unless Lu Changxing directly achieved core formation or nascent soul, these situations were no longer able to move her. Didn't you notice? Jiuyo is not here. Lu Changxing looked up at the sky and spoke softly. He naturally would not agree to his son doing something like sending the tiger back to the mountain. Only then did Lu Miaoge notice that the 9 Netherhound had disappeared at some unknown time, and she understood Lu Quanzhen's purpose. It was to first deal with the Zhao family members who harbored deep hatred against their own family. Then slowly deal with these Zhao family members now, tens of miles away from White Tiger Mountain. Lu Chuanzhen, you clearly said you would let us go. A Zhao family disciple was frantically escaping through the forest, maneuvering a spiritual artifact and using the wind commanding technique, his face showing horror. Lu Chuanzhen sat on the back of the 9 Netherhound, his expression cold and silent. Roar. In a short while, the 9 Netherhounds swooped beside this Zhao family disciple, biting his body in half, blood and flesh a blur. Lu Chuanjin used a flame bullet technique to burn him to ashes, then applied the cleansing technique to clean the bloodstains from the soil. "Thank you for your hard work," Lu Chuanjin said to the Nine Netherhound. If it weren't for the Nine Netherhound being able to remember these people's scents and thus track them, with these people escaping separately, he really would have had trouble resolving them all. All settled, next up is handling the aftermath for the Zhao family. Lu Chuanjin squinted his slightly narrow eyes, stored the Nine Netherhound into the spiritual pet bag, tidied his robe slightly, and with his face regaining its clear and elegant appearance, he maneuvered his spiritual artifact to return to White Tiger Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible.